to go at White Hart Lane, where it's a slightly chilly April day in North London, but the stadium, 62,000 capacity of it, is rapidly filling up. We have already, of course, had one game this weekend in the Premier League. It was at the King Power Stadium last night, Leicester City against Newcastle. A big win for Newcastle. Our commentators were Tim Long and Ewan Roberts.
Solomon Rondon is one player who will fancy it, and here comes the number 9, and what a try as well! Off the crossbar, he had Schmeichel beaten, all hands up. Chilwell getting forward, Maddison, can he turn away on the edge of the box? Chilwell's into the area, good strike, and a good save from Dubravka as well. Richie picks up the baton and runs with it and gets a lovely cross into the near post, where it's flicked home by Jose Perez. Newcastle have pounced to score the opening goal. Lovely ball in from Maddison towards the forehead of Vardy, who just couldn't quite stretch enough. He's found a way through. Jose Perez blocked at point-blank range at the near post by Schmeichel. Lovely ball, Vardy! Hit it first time on the turn as it came across his body. Left-footed, on the swivel, but over the top of the crossbar.
Well, that was a big win for Newcastle. They played really well. They haven't had the happiest of seasons, Adrian, but they're, 38 points. They're 10 points clear, surely safe now.
Yeah, I can't see Cardiff catching them. I think Cardiff are the ones, obviously, Southampton. I still think Southampton will be fine, but no, it was a good win for Newcastle United. Lovely goal. Beautiful cross from Matt Ritchie. The run across the defender from Perez and the flick header were just sensational. It was one of those off nights for Leicester. It's as simple as that. They definitely played too narrow. They lack that spark that they've so far had under Brendan Rodgers. I think it's a blip. I don't think they're going to go back to the days where that's the norm for them, as it was under Claude Puel. So no, it's an off night for Leicester that Newcastle United punished really well. I
think Newcastle are the sort of team that most people like to see in the Premier League. They kind of feel like a Premier League team, and
definitely.
Pretty certainly they'll be there next season. We'll be featuring at 3 o'clock Burnley against Cardiff, which is the key game down the bottom. We'll hear from the managers at half-time in this game, Neil Warnock and Sean Dyche. But when you look at that game, as you said, there's a 5-point gap between Cardiff and Southampton. Saints, incidentally, play Wolves at home. So if Cardiff don't win, it's going to put them a step further to relegation, surely, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Burnley are 3 points away from safety in terms of they'll be safe if they win the game, Burnley. That's quite an incentive at home to a team inside the bottom 3, so I expect a really motivated performance from the Clarets. Yeah, I think Cardiff are going to have to win at least 3 and then take at least 1 draw. I think 10 points was the target from Neil Warnock. That would be the minimum requirement, really. They will identify Burnley away as certainly a winnable game, but are they good enough to go there and win? I'm not sure. I do think not a lot's been made of it, but the Sol Bamba injury is massive for them.
He's
such a key man.
And he scores the odd useful goal as
well. They've not really recovered from that. They're obviously unlucky as well in that home defeat to Chelsea. No, the writing looks on the wall for Cardiff, but you look at the teams above them. The only team I can see getting dragged into it potentially is Brighton.
But even games in hand.
Yeah, even so.
And Brighton and Cardiff play each other on Tuesday, so that could be massive, couldn't it? Because if Cardiff do win at Burnley and Brighton slip up this weekend, they're at home to Bournemouth. They're not in good form. That would drag Brighton right into it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, it would. But no, Cardiff City, look, they've had a good run in the Premier League, but you just feel as if their lack of goals is going to cost them. They haven't got a great deal of creativity in the team, but look, they've done a lot better, haven't they, than Fulham and Huddersfield? They were the weak links. The rest have been much of a muchness.
Yeah, well, they've lost 4 of the last 5 games, Cardiff. I mean, they're going to have to start picking up points. I think if it was 2 points between themselves and safety, you might give them a chance, but 5 at this stage of the season is quite a lot. Southampton, of course, are the team directly above Cardiff. They've produced some good results lately. Southampton, they've won 3 of their last 5 games, although they lost their last encounter. They're at home to Wolves, who suffered that extraordinary defeat in the FA Cup semi-final against Watford a week ago, so they'll need to pick themselves up. Let's hear what the Southampton manager Ralph Hasenhüttl thinks ahead of this one.
You do both things. The one thing is focusing on the weekend, but as long as we are not safe, it's not so easy to prepare the next season. So, but it's still to do. We have to have the right decisions when we have the chance to take them, and therefore we are working also. Means having a look on new players and everything else. The sooner we are safe, the better it is. That's for sure, and that's we all know. And the sooner we get this last wins we need to have the 40 points, for example, the better it is, and the next chance we have on the weekend.
I think it's fair to say that without Ralph Hasenhüttl, Southampton might be in big trouble. They looked a very team bereft of any kind of confidence under Mark Hughes, but he's come in, the Austrian, and he's done a pretty good job. And they're another team you fancy they'll do it.
Oh yeah, no, I think that Hasenhüttl is the best appointment at Southampton since Ronald Koeman. I think he's a really good manager. He's certainly motivated the team. He's found an identity now. Under Mark Hughes, they didn't really have one. They were just plodding along, sleepwalking really towards a relegation battle. He is good, Hasenhüttl. He's got the three at the back formation. I think Bednarek's been a different player under him. Yeah. Højbjerg's terrific in the middle of the park. And then Redmond has been much better under his coaching.
And Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, Ward-Prowse, who's always been a good technician from set pieces, but he's having an impact in general play as well. And I think if Danny Ings had been fit more often for Southampton under Hasenhüttl, they'd have even more points. Next year, watch them go. I think Southampton will be a top half side this time next year.
Well, Brighton we've been talking about last weekend. Of course, they were involved in an FA Cup semi-final at Wembley against Manchester City, which they lost narrowly, although they didn't show a great deal of ambition. They'll probably have to show more along the south coast today at Bournemouth. And Seagulls manager Chris Hughton says this game today is more important than last weekend's FA Cup semi.
The biggest one at this moment is Saturday's game against Bournemouth, because it's the next one, and it's the best opportunity that we have, the closest opportunity that we have to pick up points. So are they more important than the FA Cup semi-final? Yes, they are, because the semi-final was gone, and we were delighted to get there. We were delighted to put in a performance that we did, but that's gone. And from the moment the final whistle went, and of course we done the press, all of my thoughts and talks with the players have all been about the next game.
Chris Hughton there. I think I said that Brighton were along the coast at Bournemouth. They're not. It's at Brighton. My apologies. Brighton against Bournemouth. He's right, I think, about the importance of this one. He's started to come under a little bit of pressure, because he's a very popular figure, and he's a very nice man, and he always handles himself very well. However, you could argue that Brighton didn't make much of an attempt to win that. I know they're playing Manchester City, but
I thought it was a slight missed opportunity.
There have been a few sort of criticisms creeping in, which he hasn't had to deal with before.
No, that's true. That is true. It's a little bit like Man United against Barcelona. Did they really go for it? Not really. I don't think. They spent a lot of money, Brighton, and not too many of the guys that Hughton has brought in have made a really big impact down there at the Amex Arena. But look, this is a very even match against Bournemouth, who are sort of sliding down the table at a worrying rate, aren't they? I would imagine Eddie Howe has got stuck into his players this week. I can imagine it'd be quite a motivated, cheery side rocking up at Brighton today, and of course a win for Bournemouth will get them over that magical 40-point mark. So I think this is going to be a really even game. Wouldn't surprise me that if Bournemouth were to at least get a draw in that one.
Yeah, he claimed actually, Eddie Howe, after last weekend's game, that they are still involved in the relegation battle. They're 10 points clear already, so as you say, 3 more points at Brighton would do them nicely. After that, we will be featuring Manchester United against West Ham at 5:30. Tom Rennie and Rufus Brevitt will be bringing you all the action from that one. You mentioned United's defeat against Barcelona. It's going to make the Champions League away leg at the Nou Camp very, very difficult for them indeed, and it meant after that honeymoon period that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has now presided over 4 defeats in his last 5 games, and the Norwegian Manchester United boss, after that firing blanks really against Barcelona, says they need to be more clinical in front of goal.
Well, I wouldn't say you're never happy when you don't win games, but it's been a period now where we've played some good teams, we've had some good performances, but we haven't had the quality in front of goal and the belief maybe in front of goal that we should have, because we've against Wolverhampton and Arsenal, the 2 league games that I could mention here, 2 of the last 3, we should have won them with the amount of chances we've scored. So we've been practicing out here. We've been as a striker, I know how important that little belief is and trust in yourself. So we've been putting the balls in the goals.
Well, United are involved in this little four-way duel between themselves, Arsenal, Tottenham Hotspur and Chelsea. Chelsea have done themselves a power of good with a victory which takes them up into 3rd place. Arsenal currently 5th. United are the back markers in that quartet, so that they desperately need to beat West Ham, don't they?
They should beat West Ham. West Ham aren't playing brilliantly at the moment, are they? And he's looking for a reaction. There are problems, aren't there? We read reports this morning that the Solskjaer has accused Real Madrid of a campaign to unsettle Paul Pogba, who's certainly been way below the standards he set in the first few games of the Solskjaer regime. Personally, I would get shot of Paul Pogba. I would sell him this summer and move on. Would I go for Declan Rice, I wonder? There are reports that he is among their top targets. £50 million is the likely fee. He is a player that I could see ending up at Manchester United, and you wonder whether he might view this afternoon's match as a little bit of a trial.
An audition
in front of it's the Declan Rice audition at Old Trafford. Wow. He has just signed a new contract, long-term contract at West Ham, but as we all know in football, that doesn't really mean anything. I don't think he will be a Hammers player for a lot longer. No,
I think not. And as you say, Manchester United are in. Ander Herrera is leaving as well in the summer to join PSG, so that's another gap in their midfield. Meanwhile, here at the new stadium with the cockerel emblem crowing over the top of it, this amazing arena is preparing to stage Tottenham Hotspur against already relegated Huddersfield Town. Let's hear from the 2 managers ahead of this one then, Mauricio Pochettino and Jan Sievert.
I don't believe that we are favourite. I think we are below them. But in our belief, in our confidence, maybe we are above. We trust in ourselves and we are confident that we are going to get the top 4. And of course, I think it's going to be tough. It's so exciting. I think it's amazing for everyone. For us, not too much.
It was a good training week, to be fair. We had good sessions which were intensive, of course, because we want to stay and work intensively until the end, and we know that these games will be intensive. So I think it was a good training week, and our aim was, of course, to continue on things which we have done and to talk about things which we have to solve better. So still in our process, I would say.
It's going to be fantastic to achieve the top 4 on the end of the season after a very difficult year and all that happened from the beginning. Be in the position that we are today is amazing, and if on the end we finish in the top 4, I think it's going to be more than fantastic.
It's about still to find our possibilities to go in positions where we can score and to have maybe good movements straight ways to the goal in a way, and also find possibilities to crowd the box even away. So, and we proved it once in West Ham, I would say, because we scored 3 goals their way, which means that we are able to do it. And then it's Tottenham, which have a big quality for me, defensively and offensively. So there will be difficulties, definitely, and it will be a tough game for us, and we have to face it.
So that's Jan Sievert, who we'll have to wait and see whether he's in charge of Huddersfield next season. Another manager who's come under a little bit of pressure. There's talk of splits within the dressing room there. It's all done and dusted as far as they're concerned. They were relegated on March the 30th after a defeat against Crystal Palace, so they're playing for pride alone. Tottenham Hotspur are playing for rather more this season. They've got a Champions League quarter-final second leg against Manchester City at the Etihad coming up next week. But in the meantime, they need to win. If they do, they'll go back to 3rd above Chelsea with 67 points. They should do against Huddersfield Town, but Tottenham sometimes have a strange habit of letting you down. Let's see what happens, because we're back with the game in just a moment. You're listening to Premier League Live.
There's more to life than football, money and fun. Well, not much.
Kick off the new season with TalkSport's £1 million Predictor game.
Register now at talksport.com/predictor and play for free throughout the season.
Play it in the van. Play it on the can. Play it with your gran.
Win £1 million sterling.
It's the biggest prize in the history of TalkSport.
The TalkSport £1 million Predictor game. Players must be 18 or over. See talksport.com/predictor for full conditions.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Kane now on his left foot, bends a shot, what a goal from Harry Kane! MBE! Stunning finish with his left foot into the top corner. It's wonderful from Spurs. It's magnificent from Harry Kane. No wonder the Queen wanted to bestow an honour upon him. What a goal to celebrate.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
Salah's running himself to take this one. Van Dijk's there. Lovren's there. Fabinho's there to open his account for Liverpool. And just as City go 2-1 down at Leicester, Liverpool stamp their authority at Anfield. Yet more. Liverpool 4, Newcastle 0. Title challenge on. Are they now the favourites?
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Aubameyang through to Torreira inside the area. Torreira scores! And surely now, North London is red again. Arsenal 4, Tottenham 2.
Here's Maddison for Leicester. Vardy chance! Vardy goal! Leicester City, out of nowhere, have got the lead. Jamie Vardy, who's been virtually anonymous this afternoon, isn't anymore. Wonderful finish by Vardy, and it's Chelsea 0, Leicester City 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
The Premier League Preview Show with TalkSport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it, oh it's a goal, it's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
TalkSport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
He's put down the dumbbells and has turned up here for the show. Chris Iwelumo is on the preview show. A Premier League winner, Paul Parker, joins us on the Premier League Preview Show.
Subscribe to the podcast today at talksport.com.
This is Premier League Live.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Tottenham Hotspur against Huddersfield Town from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'm your host, John Anderson. Alongside me is the former Arsenal winger, Adrian Clark. This is Premier League Live. So Tottenham looking to go back into third in their magnificent new home. I don't know about you, Adrian. I can't get used to not calling it White Hart Lane. It's funny, isn't it? But what they're trying to do is get a sponsor on board who can provide a bit more revenue for the club, and in the meantime it's simply known as the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but it is an absolutely magnificent arena. Spurs wearing their traditional white shirts and blue shorts today, having made 7 changes from the team which beat Manchester City in the Champions League quarter-finals in midweek. The second leg of that game is on Wednesday. That's probably why so many changes have been made. Huddersfield are wearing a change strip of red and black stripes and black shorts. They look a bit like AC Milan, but they haven't been playing like them recently. Of course, their fate has long since been sealed. They were relegated with 6 games to go. They've only got 14 points. If they don't get another point, that would be the worst, second worst ever in the Premier League. Derby County finished the season incredibly with 11 points and only 1 win 11 years ago, but they've only scored 19 goals, Huddersfield. They've only won 3 games. That's 3 games. 1 is the worst in all 5 of the big leagues in Europe. But as far as Tottenham Hotspur are concerned, it isn't great either. Only 4 points from their last 6 Premier League games. They won here, though, against Crystal Palace in the first in the new stadium. And they followed it up with a victory over Manchester City in the Champions League. So no opposing side has yet scored here in an official game, we should say. Of course, there were test events involving former players and junior players, but in the real business of the stadium, in terms of senior football, Tottenham Hotspur are looking to prevent Huddersfield breaking an unblemished record. Spurs have Hugo Lloris in goal, a back three of Jan Vertonghen, Juan Foyth, the young Argentine centre-half, and Davinson Sanchez. Across midfield, Kyle Walker-Peters. Oh, hang on, here are Huddersfield on the burst forward, but Sanchez has dealt with it, and Lloris has cleared. The Spurs midfield, Kyle Walker-Peters, Moussa Sissoko, Victor Wanyama, and Ben Davies, and then Christian Eriksen with Lucas Moura and Fernando Llorente up front. Huddersfield, Ben Hamer is in goal. The back four is Florian Hader-Gyonai, Christopher Schindler, Terence Congolo and Eric Durm. Across midfield, Juninho Bakuna, Jan Gorenc Stankovic, Jonathan Hogg and Chris Lerver. And up front, Carlin Grant and Elias Kachunga. Juninho Bakuna, incidentally interesting, is the brother of the player at Cardiff. You could have two brothers both relegated with different clubs in the same season. It's Leandro Bakuna, isn't it, the Cardiff City man. They're in action later today in our featured game at Burnley, which will be a big one. The sun has just peeped out above the stadium in North London. It's been a very chilly morning with quite a strong wind. It's going to get warmer next week, we're told. This stadium is actually only about 2 miles. Oh, here's I was going to say 2 miles from where I still live, and you used to live.
That's
Farmers
right,
Green.
Yeah.
You can actually see this stadium from the top of my house if you look out the window.
It's very
it
imposing.
Dominates the area now.
Yeah, it really does. It's a wonderful arena. First real attack of note there, and he's just tripped up just outside the D is Lucas Moura. Up until that point, it had been a very low-key, sort of slow start to the game, with Huddersfield sitting off and Tottenham just knocking the ball around at the back. But that one little burst from Moura has set up a chance here, probably for Eriksen. It's Eriksen and Ben Davies over the free kick. It's dead centre, just outside the D. It was a trip.
Yeah, well, Eriksen has had a hand in all 3 goals that have been scored in this stadium, 2 assists, and he scored against Crystal Palace. And it is going to be Christian Eriksen. He's well within range for a man of his capabilities. Eriksen with the free kick, not a good one by his standards, though. Low and central and straight into the wall. He won't be happy about that, but Tottenham have it back with Vertonghen, and it clips up and loops up off Jonathan Hogg, and Ben Hamer is keen to make sure that Huddersfield don't concede a corner, and he's done that. He's been in for the last few games, Hamer, because Jonas Lössl, who played virtually every game in the Premier League in the last 2 seasons for Huddersfield, is currently out of favour. He's not even on the bench.
Yeah, it's incredible, really. Hamer has made some mistakes. He isn't a Premier League goalkeeper, in my opinion. He's not a terrible goalkeeper by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think he's a number 1 in the top flight. So look, it's a great opportunity for him. I do expect him to be a busy man today, Tottenham Hotspur, even though they've made all these changes, 7 in total. They are overwhelming favourites, aren't they, to get the job done here.
Ben Hamer has played 6 Premier League games this season. He's conceded 17 goals. Here's Moussa Sissoko, who's been brilliant for Tottenham all season, with a lovely piece of skill, and the run out towards the right hand side finds young Kyle Walker-Peters, who plays it forward again to Sissoko. Sissoko clips it back into the box. It's cleared as far as Victor Wanyama. Wanyama to Jan Vertonghen. Now it's Ben Davies. 3/4 of the defensive lineup from the game against Manchester City have gone. Here's Foyth, one of the replacements. Walker-Peters, it's his 22nd birthday today, coming forward for Tottenham Hotspur, in towards Christian Eriksen. Eriksen goes, or tries to go round the outside of Eric Durm. Tottenham are keeping the ball well here. It's Eriksen once more over on the far side. Foyth again, who's a centre-half who likes to get forward, but on occasion can be a little bit suspect defensively.
Yeah, look, Pochettino's a big fan of Juan Foyth, and I do see potential in him. He's pretty cultured for a central defender, but right now there are mistakes in him.
Yes.
And we've seen that over the course of this campaign.
Here he is on the ball, pinging the ball in. It's not a particularly good ball. Ben Hamer just sees the ball come out of the sky and drop into his arms. We've had 5 minutes. The referee, incidentally today, is Lee Mason. No Harry Kane, of course, for Tottenham Hotspur, who's injured an ankle. And the bad news is, both for Spurs and for England, that he could be out for the remainder of the season. England, of course, are involved in the European Nations League finals in Portugal come June, and it's a bit of a race to see whether Kane will be fit even for that. It's his 5th ankle injury in 2.5 years, so there clearly is some sort of problem there, isn't there?
It was a big collision. You can see that from the replays. Personally, I don't wish the injury on Harry Kane, of course not. I kind of feel he was partly culpable for it. I thought he was a bit late on the tackle. It wasn't a very good one, and I felt during that
key area either.
I thought in that game he was a little bit too pumped up. He was taking some rough punishment himself from Otamendi, from Fernandinho, and I think he didn't see the red miss, but he wasn't quite as calm as he might have been, and as a consequence, he's picked up that injury. I feel for him though. He's a good lad, Harry Kane.
He is. It's the same ankle that he injured earlier in the season. He missed 7 games on that occasion, although Tottenham did well. Son in particular was outstanding as a replacement. He's on the bench today. Here's Walker-Peters out on the right-hand side. Nice one too with Llorente, and Walker-Peters crosses a decent one towards Ben Davies, who can't really get his head on the ball properly. It skims off in a perpendicular trajectory towards the corner flag, where Vertonghen gets the ball in, and Llorente challenges with Hamer. Nothing's been given there, and Llorente getting up, and the goalkeeper having to scramble to get possession. It's gone all the way back through to Hugo Lloris, who of course was the penalty hero, saving from Aguero. He's saved 3 penalties in a row. Lloris,
he's becoming a specialist, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
He's not had a great season, but he's had his moments. That's for sure.
And he has saved from, as I was going to say, Aguero, Vardy and Aubameyang, who are all top penalty takers, really.
Absolutely. Yeah, the other end, Hamer, not at all convincing there. He was out-jumped pretty much by Fernando Llorente, and in the end he claims the ball at the second attempt. Before that, Huddersfield did really well, I thought, at the far post. Just head away under pressure from Ben Davies. It's all Tottenham. This match has been exclusively played in the half to our left. As we look on, with Tottenham attacking from right to left, so I think it's going to be a long afternoon for them.
Here's Eriksson, sent midway into the Huddersfield half. It was a poor ball, actually. It's going to be clipped away out of harm's way by Huddersfield, whose 2-season stay in the Premier League is about to officially come to an end. They, of course, were one of the great clubs of English football in the 1920s, when they won the league 3 times in succession. A lot has changed since then. They drifted out of the league at the start of the 70s and got themselves back in 2 seasons ago, but they'll be in the Championship next season. Here's Eriksson finding Lucas Moura, who scored in that defeat by Liverpool, his only goal since Boxing Day. A little unfortunate, Tottenham, particularly in the way that game ended with, as you mentioned, a mistake by Lloris, which led to the own goal. Here's Davinson Sanchez, tall Colombian centre-half, finding Vertonghen, and now Christian Eriksen. A little bit of space for him. It's not a very good first touch. Clever dummy by Moura. Llorente to Moura, back to Llorente again. Llorente's going to clip it out to Carl Walker-Peters, who's got to race on to try and keep it in play. He's done that on the far side and just plays a side-footed pass to Musa Sissoko to Wanyama, who can hit them but chooses not to on this occasion. Maybe he should have done, because his ball intended for Walker-Peters was poor and it's gone straight out of play.
A bit sloppy from Tottenham Hotspur. That will be their biggest enemy this afternoon, because it's attack versus defence. Have they got the tempo? Are they going to move the ball quick enough? Is their movement going to be sharp enough to unlock the massed ranks of Huddersfield? It's a back 4, but there are 5 defensive midfielders effectively in front of them. Not easy to break down.
Here's Carlan Grant, Londoner, who played for Charlton Athletic and has been one of the few shining lights for Huddersfield this season. He's got 3 goals since arriving. He's actually got 17 goals this season for his 2 clubs. Here's Llorente at the other end. Lots of space for Wanyama. They're urging him to shoot. He does! And it wasn't that far away. It was low and hard from 20 yards, but it just eluded the post and went behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, it's a raking strike from Victor Wanyama. 25 yards out. Pretty a foot wide in the end. Goalkeeper definitely had it covered. But look, they're plugging away. But the signs are pretty positive, I think, for Tottenham fans. This is domination of sorts, and you would expect them to make the breakthrough sooner rather than later. That said, I think in the first half, I read a stat that I think at 14 of the last 16 games they haven't led at half time. So they've certainly had to work hard for their victories in recent times, Tottenham.
Tweet us if you want to join in the debate. Tell us where you are and what your point is. It's at TalkSport Live on Twitter. Plenty of noise inside this ground, with the majority from North London, of course. It's not the easiest place to get to in the world, is it? It still has, because it's on the exact same side of the old White Hart Lane, it's not the easiest place to get to by car or by tube.
No, I think there will be, perhaps today, lunchtime kick-off on a Saturday, not such a rush to leave. There will be empty seats towards the end of matches here, because it is not an easy place to get out of. The infrastructure from the railways and the tube is not great yet.
No.
I know that they're working on that.
They are rebuilding White Hart Lane. I think they want to rename it Tottenham Hotspur Station or something.
Yeah, why not?
And the local council have got to agree to that. But anyway, here's Ericsson. They've managed to get here on this early kick-off on your Premier League Saturday. Here comes Spurs again with Wanyama finding Davis. Now Ericsson again with a bit of space in midfield. It's a lovely ball by Ericsson to Sissoko inside the Huddersfield box, looking to find some support. Ericsson's there, just outside the penalty area now. Goes to the left-hand side. Ben Davies heading towards the corner flag. Gets a useful-looking cross. It's nodded back by Walker-Peters for Llorente, who's excellent in the air, as we know, but just brushed it with his forehead and it went wide. He scored 8 of his last 10 goals with headers, Llorente. Walker-Peters did really well to find him, and there's not enough power or direction from the Spaniard's header.
No, not much purchase on it in the end from Llorente. Good wing play, wasn't it, from Ben Davies down this left-hand side. He's given too much space. Whips in a delightful ball into the box, as you rightly point out. Walker-Peters nods it back across goal really smartly, but Llorente doesn't fully commit to the header. I do worry a little bit in terms of using him today, because he will lack match sharpness. I think that much is obvious. But of course, if he can get himself onto the score sheet, that confidence will come back through him, I'm sure. But yeah, he's not had a lot of football ahead of this match.
No, he hasn't got a lot of goals either. 1 goal in 19 in the Premier League. That was at Watford, or against Watford on back end of January. Here's Davis, who set up that chance a moment ago, finding Vertonghen. I haven't seen the possession statistic, but I imagine it's something like 80% in favour of Tottenham, I would think. Here's Foyt finding Walker-Peters. Walker-Peters enjoying his 9th appearance on the season on what is his 22nd birthday, local boy. There's one for the future, played in England's World Cup winning under-20 team a couple of years ago. Here's Vertonghen in towards Llorente, who's it was one of those where you could he overhit it. He knew he'd overhit it, and then he looked at Ericsson and said, "Why aren't you running onto it?"
Yeah, it was, he used the oldest trick in the book there, just a bit of a deflection tactic from Fernando Llorente there. That was a really heavy touch.
It was.
I'm assuming he was trying to knock it down for Ericsson, that it wasn't just a miscontrol from him. But yeah, that was loose. And again, I think that highlights the lack of match sharpness on his part. There is just one option attacking-wise really on the bench today, and that's Son Heung-min. I guess if they're in a pickle, he is a good guy to bring on him. He's the only guy that scored in the new stadium, isn't he? Well, no, actually Ericsson scored in it, didn't he?
Yeah.
But Son has certainly been their talisman so far.
Yeah, he's been impressive. He scored 2 in the win against Huddersfield last season at Wembley, as it was. Footy Jab says it's a great game this for Spurs to boost their confidence going into the Champions League cracker against Manchester City. You made that point, but they'd like a goal just to subdue Huddersfield.
It's definitely the perfect game to rest players. They couldn't have wished for a better one, but Huddersfield are a little bit relaxed, aren't they? Yeah. There's no pressure on them. No. They can maybe go out and enjoy themselves. What I will say about Huddersfield is that left some quality. The two guys that I would say the most important in the forward department, Pritchard, who's got good creativity, and Aaron Moy, they're both on the bench. So they've set up extremely defensively.
They have. Coming forward here, though, with Bakuna, who's tackled in midfield, and suddenly Spurs may see this as a platform to launch forward. Sissoko, what a season he's had, really. Incredible. He's been brilliant. Here's Davis. Well inside the Huddersfield half now, finding Ericsson, who clips it over the top. Once again, it's a little bit heavy, and it's in front of Davis. Sissoko's a totally transformed player. I mean, 2 seasons ago, Tottenham fans were booing him, weren't they?
And it was a laughing stock in a way. Yeah. He was the guy that was the joke signings, like massive flop. Yeah. No, his improvement this season has been phenomenal. I think he's enjoying the role in a sort of central midfield position, and he's a great ball carrier, playing with renewed belief. He looks the real deal now, and they certainly won't be looking to offload him this summer. No. We do hear rumours that Pochettino is going to have a clear out, but he won't be one that leaves. No.
Well, they didn't sign any players, did they, in the last 2 windows, Tottenham Hotspur? Hadjagonai throws in for Huddersfield, who haven't had very much of the ball. Kachunga back to him. Here's Kachunga again, and Hadjagonai. It's good play down the flank, and Hadjagonai may get on the end of this. In front of Vertonghen, plays an early ball in, and it just bypasses Löw. Back it comes from Huddersfield, away by Foyth. It drops down for Kachunga once more. It deflects off Wanyama. That was a little opening there, wasn't it, for the Premier League's bottom club?
Decent football down the right-hand side, and here they go again.
Yes, they've got it again. This time, Hadjagonai again, who's becoming influential in the last couple of minutes. He swung it away across towards the far side where Löw controls it. There's an overlap for him. He's inside the Tottenham box. There's a bit of hesitation when the cross does finally come in from Eric Durm. It's a good block from Kyle Walker-Peters to take it out of play on the far side, but this is just a first little spell of any kind of note by Huddersfield. They're about 15 yards in from the corner flag. The throw is taken quickly. It comes to Carlin Grant, who finds Löw with the cross. Foyth is just about able to hack it away. His first touch wasn't great. Here comes Bakuna. Solid tackle again from Sissoko, and Tottenham look to get the ball out of their own half, but Davis has got in a tangle here. Now, what's the referee given there? He's given a free kick against Bakuna, but it was a nice little flurry there from the Terriers.
And what they're doing, they're biding their time, and in that middle third, just before halfway, they're really snapping into the tackles now. They've created a few good turnovers, Huddersfield. That's their best bet, I think, of hurting Tottenham Hotspur this afternoon. Hadjagonai has impressed me down the right-hand side. He does create a lot of chances. He's a fullback that will push forward and whip crosses into the area, and that wasn't a bad ball in a couple of minutes ago.
Here's Sissoko finding Lucas Moura, the Brazilian, just hassled and harried. They've worked hard so far, Huddersfield. They've got plenty behind the ball whenever Spurs have got forward, as they will have to do. Here's Vertonghen just inside the Huddersfield half, finding Ben Davis. Davis swaps passes with Llorente, and back it comes to Vertonghen. They're going to have to be patient, Spurs, which is what they're doing at the moment. It's with Juan Foyth, who crosses halfway. Walker-Peters far side. Now Moura, who gets a second opportunity to find a man. Henry Capito says, how on earth is my captain on the bench? Poch is not being fair to me at all. I think you mean Son Heung-min in your fantasy team, I'm guessing. Here comes Ericsson, it's cleared. He goes on to say, I'm backing Huddersfield to win by 2-1.
Big call, that.
I'm tired of Poch. Says that. Go and put some money on that. I don't know what the odds are, but they'll be very, very low.
Oh yeah, you get double figure odds on that one. Yeah, I like your prediction, Henry. I'm not quite sure it'll come true, but let's see. Wow. It's level pegging at the moment. It's not. Tottenham Hotspur and not having it all their own way.
Created much of it.
No, I just feel it's a slightly sluggish first half display from Spurs. It happens so often when you see a big gun come up against one of the lesser lights who just want to be disciplined and organised. It's often down to the bigger team to create their own energy, and right now it's all a bit one-paced.
Yeah, it is. Here's Foyth inside his own half, just looking to push forward towards the halfway line. He's done that. He's got support from Sissoko, and now Moura, who's dropped deep. Tottenham can't find a way through this phalanx of Huddersfield players at the moment. This is Ben Davies, the Welsh international who scored a rare goal. He doesn't get many goals, but he got one against Huddersfield last season in a 4-0 win for Spurs. Here's Foyth again. Back towards Davies. It's going to be cut out though by Haddock-Yonai, who's played very well for Huddersfield so far, both defensively and when he's got forward. This is Vertonghen finding Davinson Sanchez. It's gone a little bit quiet. I was absolutely right. It is 80-20. There you are. Bit of guesswork that proves to be accurate there.
Well, that's all someone's done. They've just guessed at it, like you, John.
You mean they've listened to me? And
whoever makes the possession stats, I don't believe it's scientific. I'm sorry.
No, nor do I. I also don't believe it's necessarily particularly relevant. I think if you said possession in the final third, it would be more interesting, because we've seen Tottenham already just knocking it around the back four, which doesn't really tell you anything about the game at all, does it?
No.
Davinson Sanchez, one of those, I should say back three, not back four, but he's one of them, and he's just sliced it out of play.
I go back to the team selection from Pochettino, going with the three at the back. I just think, up against the Huddersfield team, they've got one forward, Karlan Grant, spent most of the game in their own half. Do they need three centre-halves and two wing-backs? I don't think they do. It's an odd choice for me.
Here they come, Huddersfield. It's Low trying to get the ball in. Foyth does well with the block and then finds Wanyama, who'll push it back to Carl Walker-Peters. Here's Sissoko on the far side of the field. Tottenham are trying to work the ball out of defence rather than hitting it long. It goes back to Hugo Lloris, wearing all orange as he tends to do these days. He hasn't really had very much to do at all, nor really has Ben Hamer, particularly. One awkward cross and a couple of efforts wide, one off the head of Llorente and a long, low shot by Sissoko, but that's about it. Here's Llorente trying to find Moura, and it comes to Karlan Grant, who works it out wide to Lerber. There's an overlap by the left fullback Derm, who's been ignored for the time being. Jonathan Hogg just sweeps it away to the far side, and the Huddersfield fans are olaying because their team have managed to keep possession for 3 or 4 passes. I'm never less than impressed by some of supporters' gallows humour.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Here's Hadjiganai.
Did you hear the story that it was reported this morning that Tottenham have already banned some supporters for persistent standing?
Yes, I did see that.
Which I thought was remarkable.
It's harsh,
2 games in.
Yeah.
And of course everyone's finding their feet.
Yeah,
some are used to standing and others of course aren't.
Yeah.
And it's almost as if you need to redistribute the season tickets so that those that want to stand are kind of all together.
I mean, safe standing is a concept, isn't it, that they're trying there is a lobby to try and introduce what they call safe standing, where you can push the seat back.
I'd be all for that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a lot safer.
We're old enough to remember standing at stadiums, and you can understand the reasons why it was prohibited, obviously, with the Hillsborough disaster. The anniversary of that comes up on Monday. Here's a chance for Tottenham, and it's beautifully stuck away by Victor Wanyama, who just burst through the inside left channel, took the ball around Ben Hamer, and very, very calmly rolled it into the back of the net. It's his first goal since that thunderbolt against Liverpool more than 3 years ago, and it is exactly the goal that Tottenham needed today. With 24 minutes played, neat from Wanyama, Spurs ahead.
Oh, it's a fantastic finish from Wanyama, so calm, just skips around the goalkeeper, keeps his balance beautifully. It's Davies with the pass, and Llorente just holds off his man, doesn't touch it, but in effect it's an assist because he lets the ball run across his body. The midfield run of Wanyama isn't tracked, and he just skips his way into the box, dances around Hamer and taps it into the empty net. Look, they've not got out of first gear really, Spurs, yet they find themselves one up.
It's not the sort of goal you associate with Victor Wanyama, is it? He doesn't get very many. It's his first for a long time, but he took that in a way that the Tottenham great Jimmy Greaves used to often score at the old White Hart Lane, just dancing around goalkeepers and tucking the ball into an empty net. It was a terrific goal, and we said it before, it's the goal that Tottenham need, really. It'll be interesting to see whether Huddersfield can now withstand Spurs, who having got that goal, will surely go for the jugular.
Of course, yeah. Already you can see they're moving the ball quicker, there's more confidence, everyone wants a touch of it all of a sudden. It's that is a goal that will allow Spurs to go out and enjoy themselves now.
Here's Davis down the left-hand side. Just cuts infield, he's inside the penalty area, tries to find Llorente. Llorente does well to shield the ball and find Eriksson. Eriksson back to Vertonghen. Now Christian Eriksen again. Eriksen into the box, swirling ball, not a very good one in truth. It's way above Lucas Moura, who isn't the tallest, and straight into the gloves of Ben Hamer. So Tottenham have now scored 4 goals in their new stadium without concession.
It's working well for them so far. I mean, it is important that they get off to this good start inside the new stadium. I think it will hold them in good stead. And they've got a lot of fixtures here between now and the end of the season.
Here's Foyth finding Sissoko in plenty of space. Sissoko to Lucas Moura! 2-0 Spurs! They've got a couple of goals in the twinkling of an eye. Lucas Moura from an angle, burying the ball into the corner beautifully with his right foot after excellent work by Foyth and Sissoko, and the fears that Huddersfield had that there might be an avalanche of goals are well founded. It's Tottenham Hotspur 2, Huddersfield Town 0.
Wow, this is a rasping finish from Lucas Moura. It owes much to Sissoko's driving run. Lovely little slip pass, but with the angle pretty tight, Lucas Moura has unleashed a really powerful hit. It goes through the keeper. It's poor goalkeeping in my opinion, but the power of the shot is too much for him. And look, you fear now for Huddersfield. This could be a cricket score.
So 2-0 with goals in the 24th and 26th minutes for Tottenham Hotspur. Lucas Moura with a terrific strike. He's now got 10 for the season, although it's only his 3rd goal in 19 games. But from an opening quarter where Spurs looked not nervous but hesitant and slightly lacking in ideas, they have now taken total control of this match. Here's Elias Kachunga for Huddersfield. You can hear what the Tottenham fans think of it. We are Tottenham, Super Tottenham. They still say from the lane, they don't say from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
It is still White Hart Lane, isn't it? The new White Hart Lane. I don't know what they're going to do about the naming.
Well, they're going to try and find a sponsor's name, I think. Here come Huddersfield, who try to get themselves back into the game somehow. Elias Kachunga shielding it away from Ben Davis and finding Hadagionai. Hadagionai's cross is a decent one out towards Karlan Grant, but it's well defended by Davinson Sanchez. And here they come again with Congolo and Lerv over on the far side. It's a useful cross. Flick off Davies is going to wait for a throw in to Huddersfield close to the corner flag. Well, the Huddersfield fans were olaying not 5 minutes ago in an ironic way, and I think it was because they knew that such things have not really gone their way this season. Relegated along with Fulham, of course. I was at Vicarage Road when Fulham were relegated last week, and as Grant comes forward, and still they have it with Bakuna, and now the big defender Congolo finds Lerva, and that cross is useful towards Hadjiganai, who was denied by Ben Davis, and it's a corner to Huddersfield with almost half an hour gone.
They put the ball in the box, don't they, John? They will sling a lot of crosses into the danger zone. Carlin Grant is a decent finisher. Obviously, they lack the physical presence of a Mounier or a Depoitre, but the balls into the area have been okay so far.
It's the first corner of the game in the 30th minute, and it's gone the way of Huddersfield. Bakuna with a right-footed outswinger. Oh, and it's met and pushed just wide. Well, it wasn't that far away from Stankovic, providing a goal for Huddersfield, which would have got them back into the game. Perhaps he should have done, he didn't connect properly, and he was on his own, only 6 yards out, and it's bounced wide.
It is truly shocking defending from the goal scorer, Victor Wanyama. It really is. He's in there, and he does not look at him once, Stankovic. He's effectively marking Jan Vertonghen right next to him, and he just goes in front of him to Stankovic and mishits the volley from the corner into the ground and wide. That's a really poor effort, I think, from the Huddersfield man, and it's diabolical defending from Wanyama, but look, from a position of ascendancy, Spurs get away with it.
Yeah, Stankovic, the Slovenian, has got just one goal this season. It came at Manchester City in a 6-1 defeat. You wouldn't bet against Tottenham Hotspur getting that kind of score racked up today. They've got 15 minutes until half-time. Here's Ben Davies finding Sissoko, and now Sanchez. It's slowed down a bit again, the Tottenham approach. After they got the goal, they zipped it up a little bit. Lovely move for Moura's goal, and he's clipped it over the top towards Sissoko waiting for it to drop. And what's he given the referees? Claiming that Sissoko has given the defender a shove in the back as they went for the bouncing ball, and Lee Mason has awarded a free kick to Huddersfield Town.
Yeah, it's really cute play, isn't it, in terms of just trying to knock it over the defender there, Sissoko, with his head. It's Stankovic, I believe, that he just tried to flick the ball over. And to his credit, the Serbian just sort of put his body there and just made sure that the Tottenham midfielder wasn't going to get round the wrong side of him, held his ground and won a free kick inside his own box. But look, for Huddersfield, I think it's important they score. If they've got any aspirations to get at least a draw here, and they probably need to score before half-time.
Yeah, they do. Sissoko was penalised there. He's only ever scored one Premier League goal in his Tottenham career, and that was against Huddersfield Town in a 4-0 win last season.
He's only scored once. That's incredible, isn't it? For a player that came to the country as a winger with Newcastle United, that did score a fair few.
Sorry, it's only Premier League goal. He scored in the League Cup.
Still surprising me. It's the same difference. Despite having a terrific season, I think he definitely needs to improve on that part of his game. He's got the ability to score goals, hasn't he?
Here's Eriksson finding Vertonghen square to Foyt, who scored this season in a win at Crystal Palace, his first senior goal, the young Argentinian. There's Walker-Peters coming infield from the right-hand side and finding Sissoko, who in turn picks out Vertonghen. Vertonghen's got Davis on this left-hand side. Before the game, you predicted 2-0 to Tottenham. I predicted 3-0, so I think it could end up both being wrong.
The way it's looking, it feels like a 4 or a 5, doesn't it?
It does.
But we'll see how it goes. Look, it's a big 15 minutes this for Huddersfield. I think can really do with going for it. Certainly can't afford to concede another, otherwise it really is game over.
One of the unwanted records that Huddersfield are trying to avoid is the fewest number of goals in a Premier League season. They've only got 19, which is
shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Derby, in that horrible season they had 11 years ago, got 20 goals. So nobody's ever got less than 20 goals in a Premier League season. And I mean, when you look at Huddersfield's run-in, I mean, they've got Watford, who are playing very well and are in an FA Cup final, then Liverpool away, Manchester United at home, and then they're away to Southampton. I mean, it's hard to make a case for them to getting, never mind points, even goals from those games.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I think Derby supporters will be looking at it thinking, hang on, we might lose that unwanted tag. But yeah, it's a shame for Huddersfield.
It is.
The recruitment just hasn't worked for them.
No.
The guys that came in have really failed to make a big impression, and the bottom line is, if you haven't got anyone to score goals, you're not going to win games.
Carlin Grant might do it at Championship level, you can see it.
But even in the Championship, he's kind of unproven. His best work has been done in League One.
That's true.
So but he was certainly a signing with an eye on next season.
Actually, he's 21, Carling writes. Only Tammy Abraham, who's playing for Aston Villa at the moment, has scored more goals this season for a player aged 21 or under. So he has done well. 14 goals for Charlton in League One. And, you know, he's come into the Premier League and he's got 3. Got a couple against West Ham in an exciting game, which they lost 4-3 recently.
Yeah, he really could be, if he has a wonderful campaign with Huddersfield next year in the Championship, then he'll be back in the Premier League. Yeah. Someone will buy him if they don't get promoted, of course.
Here's Juan Foyt. The most likely team to replace Huddersfield at the moment is Norwich City, who are top of the Championship and looking in very, very good form at the moment. Looking like a team who could be set to make their return to the top flight. Spurs, of course, are trying to reach the Champions League for next season. At the moment, as it stands, with a victory here, they would be in 3rd place, a point above Chelsea. But it's all getting very tight. What a Tottenham win today will mean, of course, is that Manchester United would be desperately in need of victory against West Ham. Arsenal face Watford away on Monday, and Chelsea, well, they've got the toughest task of all. They're at Liverpool on Sunday. So, you know, a Tottenham win. See Chelsea dropping points, potentially you could see Arsenal dropping points, and even United. Here's Llorente trying to find space for a shot. He will now. It's an excellent block. It'll come out to Llorente again, who then miskicks. It was excellent play by Hadji Gonai to get in the way of the Llorente effort. He needs a goal, Fernando Llorente. I mean, he's a World Cup winner. It's his 600th career appearance today for all his various clubs, Bilbao, Juventus, with whom he won 3 titles, and Sevilla. But he hasn't been amongst the goals for Tottenham Hotspur since he scored against Dortmund in the Champions League, which was, of course, such a big goal. But
yeah, he's been a really good target man striker down the years. He was great for Swansea, I thought.
Yeah.
Particularly, obviously, in the air. Borderline unplayable at times in the air for Swansea City. But yeah, he just hesitated a touch. It was a good block from Hadji Gonai, who's been Huddersfield's best player by miles, really, in this game so far.
No question at all.
But yeah, it feels very easy for Tottenham Hotspur. They're able to slice through these massed ranks of Huddersfield fairly easily. They are disciplined and organised, but the bottom line is that are they good enough against a side of Tottenham's calibre?
The answer is no.
I think the answer is definitely no.
There is a gulf between these two teams, there's no question.
Yeah, and I think you spoke about Norwich earlier. You put Norwich in this game, they would certainly give Spurs a more of a run for their money.
Yeah. They've got a shocking record against the big clubs. In the 2 seasons they've been in the Premier League, Huddersfield have only ever won 1 against the Big 6. That was against Manchester United at home last season. They've lost all 9 this season. This is the 10th, and they've got 2 more to come.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, it's probably just as well that they're not battling for survival, almost, because, you know, it would be an even bigger disappointment, because they would have to have beat the likes of Liverpool and Manchester United to stay up. I mean, I think at least the crumb of comfort is that they've had plenty of time to get used to what's going to face them ahead and regroup. Here's Eriksson chipping it into the box. It's nodded away by Durm, controlled by Sissoko. Just about keeps it in far side, then gets fouled by Chris Löwe, the German left back. It's going to be a free kick to Tottenham Hotspur. We've got 7 minutes of the opening half remaining at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where it's Spurs 2, Huddersfield 0.
Yeah, it was a definite foul. He cleans him out, doesn't he? He does well to keep it in, Sissoko, and then Löwe just clatters into him. I think Huddersfield will struggle in the Championship next year. I genuinely do. I think that they've lost a lot of confidence, and they will need to make big improvements.
I think Fulham might as well, because I think they'll lose players, won't they, Fulham? Here's Eriksson into the box. Flick on by Llorente, not far away from free. It was a delivery from the right-hand side by Eriksson. I'm sure Huddersfield knew the threat that Llorente posed, but they didn't pick him up, and from just outside the 6-yard box on the far side, he flicked his header, and it was fractionally past the post.
Not a million miles away there from Llorente. It's a really good set piece. Beautiful delivery from Eriksson, and the run of Llorente's clever. He dives past 2 players to get in front of the guy at the near post, who's Hogg. it's really slack defending. No one looked around them. The header wasn't far away.
Llorente's on the ball again, and he's found Sissoko, who is desperate to improve that tally that we were talking about of one Premier League goal, and he was absolutely nowhere near. The crowd shouted shoot. Sissoko got all excited, got his foot under the ball, and then smashed it. Well, it's impossible to smash it out of this stadium, but he wasn't far away.
Yeah, I think Wanyama wound him up by scoring. I think he just thinks, oh, crikey, I can't let Wanyama be.
We're looking at Wanyama's goal again. He took it like a Sergio Aguero, didn't he? It was a fantastic goal. Here comes Spurs again with Sissoko.
Oh, this is the replay of the goal.
Oh, sorry, it's Moura. You're right, and he smashed it in. Just looking at my monitor there instead of concentrating on anything else. 5 minutes to go to half-time. Mauricio Pochettino steps back into the technical area. Of course, he recently spent a spell in the stands after being banned from the dugout for comments. A big argument with Mike Dean, wasn't it? Yeah. Here's Carl Walker-Peters, who's enjoying his 22nd birthday, picked on the special day, and in a team that are leading by 2 goals to nil. He hasn't had a lot of defending to do, has he? He's got
really
forward quite nicely.
He got a hat-trick of assists, didn't he, earlier in the season?
I remember that. Was it Tranmere in the cup?
I can't remember who it was.
Game it was.
But it was...
I know what you mean.
He's got ability, no doubt about that. And I think moving forwards, he might get more of a look in. They're looking to offload Serge Aurier.
Yeah.
And there are strong rumours that Kieran Trippier may be sold as well, so...
Trippier hasn't had the best of seasons, has he, considering his performances in the World Cup were so impressive.
He was fantastic, wasn't he, in the World Cup for England? But yeah, no, it's been a bit of a letdown from him this season.
He did play Trippier against Manchester City in the Champions
League. He's still their best
game.
Bet, isn't he, right back?
I think so.
Rose, it seems, has sort of leapfrogged Ben Davies in the pecking order.
Yeah.
And that's a really sort of keenly contested battle between those two.
I mean, steady Eddie, isn't he, Ben Davies? There's not a lot to choose between those two, I would agree. Huddersfield take the throw in. It's nodded away by Foyt, and then Vertonghen hoists it away. Underneath it is Llorente, but so too is Bakuna, who gets his head through. It's going to be a Tottenham Hotspur throw on the far side, midway inside the Huddersfield town half. 3.5 minutes to go until half time in the first of the day's Premier League matches. We've got Burnley, Cardiff for you, a key game down at the bottom, coming up at 3 o'clock local time. That's in an hour and 45, and then after that it's Manchester United against West Ham. United, I'm sure, will be watching this, hoping that Tottenham will drop points, but it doesn't look very likely at the moment. Here's Jonathan Hogg driving it forward for Huddersfield, but it's hit for Tongan and fallen kindly for Sissoko, who's been all action again today, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has been good.
This is Foyt with Walker-Peters further out wide. I suppose, as you said, it's the ideal game because Pochettino's got the likes of Walker-Peters and Foyt come in. He can have a look at them, and they're not expected to be doing a massive amount of defending, so he can analyse them.
He'll
in a
start
sort of comfortable situation.
Against City, he'll start Lloris, Vertonghen, Sissoko, and Eriksen. So you've got 4 definite starters.
Well, those are the only survivors from the last one.
Possibly Lucas Moura will be in with Harry Kane out, but we'll have to wait and see. So look, it's good news all round, really, for Pochettino.
Well, of course, they've got Manchester City twice, haven't they? Because they've got them. The next game is against them in the Premier League as well.
Incredible.
Here's Eriksen forward towards Llorente. Llorente jabs it into the path of Sissoko, who finds Eriksen. Huddersfield have won it tigerishly back in midfield. It's young Carlan Grant coming back and finding the giant figure of Terence Congolo, the big Dutchman. His ball forward, I think it might have drifted out of play, but in the end it was knocked back to Hugo Lloris, who's had nothing to do at all today. Huddersfield, can't remember them apart from the shot wide by Stankovic. I don't think they've had any kind of goal mouth activity particularly. Here's Wanyama finding Moura. Back to Wanyama again. The 2 goal scorers for Tottenham combining there. This is Sanchez finding Vertonghen, and now Ben Davies. Tottenham would love a third before half time just to wrap it all up, but Davies' ball is a poor one, and Huddersfield work it nicely out of defence. Here's Adjaganaye finding Bakuna. And there's a little space down the left-hand side for Eric Durm, the German fullback, to perhaps exploit. He's on the overlap here and he gets the cross in, but Walker-Peters, as he has done generally, manages to block the cross. And it goes out of play just a yard from the corner flag in the final minute of the opening 45. And Tottenham Hotspur, courtesy of that 2-goal flurry in the space of 2 minutes midway through the half, have this game pretty much where they want it. And they have a free kick here. And it might well be a yellow card. It is, in fact. I think Chris Lerver, when he stops commiserating with the young Tottenham player, will see a yellow card, and does, from Lee Mason.
Yeah, he had his pocket
deservedly
picked.
so.
Yeah, he had his pocket picked by Wanyama, and then he took out his frustration on Walker-Peters. Absolutely launched into him. Definite yellow card from Lee Mason. Yeah, it's just going to be a long afternoon. We sense that. We spoke about that ahead of kick-off for Huddersfield. And it feels like the second period is going to drag on and on for them. Tottenham Hotspur, I think they're in that position where they can kind of do what they want from here. If they want to extend themselves, they can boost their goal difference here this afternoon. If not, I don't see Huddersfield coming back into it. But look, you never know. A red card could change the situation, something like that.
Well, they've got the best goal difference of the four that are seemingly contesting those two places in the Champions League. It's now plus 28 for Tottenham, which is 3 better than Arsenal, 5 better than Chelsea, and 10 better than Manchester United, so it could be a factor. Here's Walker-Peters just swivelling in field, and diagonal run across field to find Wanyama, and very little time added on by the officials, and the half-time whistle is blown by Lee Mason. It took a while for Tottenham Hotspur to get going, but rather like the London buses that go up and down Tottenham High Road, you wait a while for one to turn up, and then two come along at once. The first courtesy of Victor Wanyama, beautifully taken by the defensive midfielder, dancing round Hamer and side-footing home, and that was followed very quickly by Lucas Moura's bullet of a shot in 27 minutes, and Tottenham are in control and seemingly heading back to third place in the Premier League. At half-time, it's Tottenham Hotspur 2, Huddersfield Town 0. You're listening to Premier League Live.
The Premier League preview show with Talk Sport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it, oh, it's a goal, it's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
Talk Sport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
Joining us on the preview show, the former Arsenal striker and most stylish man in football, Jeremy Aliadier. I didn't want him here, but he's turned up anyway. Is the former Chelsea man, Clive Walker.
Subscribe to the podcast today at talksport.com.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Has a run of Sterling to find, and he does find him in the area. Raheem Sterling for a hat-trick here! And the hat-trick is gobbled up by Raheem Sterling. What a player this young man is.
Tries to play it forward. Hayward puts it up in the air. Comes down. Chance for 3-2. It is 3-2. Perez scores again. Well, it's times to be a Geordie fan from 2-0 down to 3-2 up.
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Really good delivery from Knockout. Here's the ball into the back of the net. And Andone has scored for Brighton. There is the breakthrough.
And Wolves with possession through Jimenez. Jimenez, he's going to go himself. There's another chance here. Go for 2-0 possibly. Jimenez! Raul Jimenez, 2-0 to Wolves. And Cardiff are now all at sea.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
This time touch trying to find Lukaku. He's broken his way and Lukaku's bent it into the bottom corner for what may well prove to be the winning goal in the final minute of the 90.
He's usually unerring from the spot, Harry Kane. He's scored all his last 5 spot kicks. He faces Bernd Leno and scores again! And Tottenham Hotspur have levelled with 16 minutes to go. Harry Kane has now got 9 goals in 9 games
against the Gunners. It's Tottenham Hotspur 1, Arsenal 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
Go to TalkSport.com and sign up now to play the free TalkSport Predictor game. Predict the results of the English Premier League games this season for the chance to win top-flight weekly prizes. From the Gunners getting away goals at Anfield to epic finishes at the Etihad. Click TalkSport.com/predictor and register now for the chance to go top of the table in the ultimate football fan tournament. The TalkSport English Premier League Predictor game. Available online and for free at TalkSport.com/predictor.
This is Premier League Live.
Welcome back. Tottenham sitting pretty, leading by 2-0 at half-time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Lots of space for Wanyama. They're urging him to shoot. He does! And it wasn't that far away. It was low and hard from 20 yards, but it just eluded the post and went behind for a goal kick. Here's a chance for Tottenham, and it's beautifully stuck away by Victor Wanyama, who just burst through the inside left channel, took the ball around Ben Hamer, and very, very calmly rolled it into the back of the net. Here's Foyth finding Sissoko in plenty of space. Sissoko to Lucas Moura! 2-0 Spurs! They've got a couple of goals in the twinkling of an eye. Here's Eriksson into the box. Flick on by Llorente, not far away from 3. Well, but for one off-target effort by Jon Goranc, Stankovic, Huddersfield have created little. They've played okay, but Tottenham Hotspur in the end have simply been too good. I mean, the question we talked about it before half-time, Adrian, really is: do Tottenham go for broke and try and get more, or do they save themselves for the task ahead on Wednesday night at the Etihad?
I think they can afford to save themselves. It wouldn't do them any harm to build up the goal difference, because the race is so close, isn't it, for the top 4 finish? So I don't think he'll be in a rush to take off Lucas Moura or Christian Eriksen particularly. But having said that, with the game against City around the corner, I don't think I'd risk Son Heung-min. I don't think there's any point.
I was just going to ask you that, actually. There isn't any point.
This is the game where you can bring on, a young George Marsh or an Oliver Skip. It's the kind of match where you can give that kid a bit of experience and without worrying about the result. Unless something spectacular goes wrong for Tottenham Hotspur in the second half, like they get 2 players sent off or something, I can see them just coasting to victory here. It's pretty routine.
If I was Mauricio Pochettino, I'd be incandescent if that were to happen, because really Huddersfield look like a championship team
they
already.
Look like a bad championship team. That's what they look like. Yeah. Honestly, I watch a lot of championship football, and I don't think they'd be anywhere near the top of the championship, this Huddersfield team. So they're heading for a division that they belong in, no doubt about that. And there doesn't seem a lot of heart. I think under Jan Sievert, under the previous manager Wagner, there was always a bit of spirit there. They were crunching to tackles. They had a bit of an identity. I think it's all
there may be some truth in the fact that Sievert has lost the players a little bit already, which is a bad sign considering he's relatively new.
It looks a bit insipid under the new guy. He's a young manager, and you do wonder what's going on behind the scenes. I'm not seeing much of an identity from Huddersfield. I'm not seeing a great deal of energy or effort, and really, when you've got all those supporters that have come to this match today, the least you owe them is to really go for it. You're down already. At least fall on your sword. But it's been a fairly limp effort so far. If I'm the Huddersfield manager, I'm tearing into my players at half-time to try and get some kind of reaction, because if it carries on like this, they'll lose by 4 or 5.
Yeah, I would agree. Don't forget, we've got matches coming up on this Premier League Saturday. Big one at 3 o'clock. Russell Hargreaves and Clive Walker. Burnley against Cardiff City. Both teams desperate to get points at the bottom of the table, particularly Cardiff City. Let's hear from the 2 managers ahead of that battle at Turf Moor, Sean Dyche and Neil Warnock.
The beginning of the season would have been pleasant if we'd have started better. There were some big challenges, of course. But the point is, every game's the business part. Every game's important, in my opinion. it sometimes does obviously get more in heightened than other games, but at the end of the day, we're on a very good run again. Very good turnover of points, 24 out forwards, a really, really high tally. We've got to continue doing that.
Well, they've nothing to lose now, have they? They've got the points, so they can actually play with a far more relaxing attitude, really. And they haven't got to please anybody or anything. So I think you'd far more be in their camp than ours, where, you know, one mistake could cost us dearly. You know, we just got to go there and do the best. Really, I want to finish. I don't want to finish with a whimper. I want us to try and finish by putting people under pressure.
We think we can guarantee certain things in our performances, and the energy and the effort level has always been high. And statistically, that's proven. Second half of the season, we go very, very strong. And you've seen the last couple of games, particularly, been very, very strong physical performances as regards the metrics that we look at, meters covered, sprint distances, etc., etc. That's only one part of the game, quite obviously, but it is an important part, and we statistically have been strong in the second part of the season, year on year.
I think if you see our lads play, I don't think you can question what it means to them, really. I think talk's cheap, really, and I think the fans have been brilliant, and I think the players have been brilliant. We might not have been good enough at times, but I think the way they've adapted and tried, I think it's been amazing. I think that's why the fans have been with them all the time, because they see that they're giving absolutely everything, and we're up against it in certain games.
Well, with respect to the opponents, it's not the most glamorous of Premier League games, is it? Burnley, Cardiff, Turf Moor, but my goodness me, it's a big game for the supporters of those two clubs.
For the neutrals, you want a Cardiff win here, because it really makes that relegation race interesting again. A Cardiff defeat, and I just think that's them done, and that we will know pretty early doors who's going down this season. So it's a huge one for Cardiff. They have to go for it. They have to really get in the faces of Burnley in the game. I don't think it'll be a pretty match.
No.
But it'll be full-blooded, and I would imagine both teams will go at it, hammer and tong. Burnley, I think, have hit a good patch of form.
Yeah, they have.
In 2019, they've actually been pretty good. I think a lot of that is down to the kid out wide on the left who's come in, Dwight McNeil. He's added a new dimension to the team, been fantastic, and of course the front guy's been scoring goals as well. So I would imagine if Burnley were to beat Cardiff, that is it, done and dusted for Cardiff, who I think can leave the Premier League with their heads held high, because they've done better than I thought they would, actually, under Neil Warnock, and he's a manager that causes a lot of controversy, but actually I really like him, and I've liked his honesty this year.
Yeah, well, his honesty might get him into trouble, actually. He's just been charged with misconduct,
I'm sure he's not worried about that,
Chelsea, but he won't be bothered about that. On a personal note, I hope Cardiff win as well. You're right. What you want is a final day where there's issues still to be resolved, and it would be a shame if we knew who was going to be relegated come the last day on May the 12th. Anyway, here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Spurs are in control. We've got the second half coming up. You're listening to Premier League Live.
There's more to life than football, money and fun. Well, not much.
Kick off the new season with TalkSport's £1 million predictor game.
Register now at talksport.com/predictor and play for free throughout the season.
Play it in the van. Play it on the can. Play it with your gran.
Win £1 million sterling.
It's the biggest prize in the history of TalkSport.
The TalkSport £1 million predictor game. Players must be 18 or over. See talksport.com/predictor for full conditions.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Kane now on his left foot, bends the shot, what a goal from Harry Kane! MBE! Stunning finish with his left foot into the top corner. It's wonderful from Spurs. It's magnificent from Harry Kane. No wonder the Queen wanted to bestow an honour upon him. What a goal to celebrate.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
Salah's readying himself to take this one. Van Dijk's there. Lovren's there. Fabinho's there to open his account for Liverpool. And just as City go 2-1 down at Leicester, Liverpool stamp their authority at Anfield. Yet more. Liverpool 4, Newcastle 0. Title challenge on. Are they now the favourites?
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Aubameyang through to Torreira inside the area. Torreira scores! And surely now, North London is red again. Arsenal 4, Tottenham 2.
Here's Maddison for Leicester. Vardy chance! Vardy goal! Leicester City, out of nowhere, have got the lead. Jamie Vardy, who's been virtually anonymous this afternoon, isn't anymore. Wonderful finish by Vardy, and it's Chelsea 0, Leicester City 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
The Premier League Preview Show with TalkSport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it. Oh, it's a goal. It's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
TalkSport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
He's put down the dumbbells and has turned up here for the show. Chris Iwelumo is on the preview show. A Premier League winner, Paul Parker, joins us on the Premier League Preview Show.
Subscribe to the podcast today at TalkSport.com.
This is Premier League Live.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Tottenham Hotspur against Huddersfield Town from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'm your host, John Anderson. Alongside me is the former Arsenal winger, Adrian Clark. This is Premier League Live. Two teams are in the tunnel, which is pristine and new like everything else in this stadium. It really is quite an astonishing piece of architecture. It's not just the stadium, the seats, it's the bars. They've got the longest bar in the world, the goal line bar. They can produce, 10,000 pints of beer a minute where they put the glass and it fills from the bottom. They've got this...
It's clever, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they are encouraging supporters, aren't they, to stick around after games.
Yeah.
And you'd imagine today, Saturday afternoon,
might
as well stick around. So it's creating a social atmosphere.
They brew their own
but no
beer.
cheese room, John, and that's the big disappointment, isn't it? They promised a cheese room and they didn't deliver a cheese room. I think
cheese for the Tottenham fans,
it's outrageous. Yeah,
the press facilities are spectacular as well. I mean, it really is. Some of the pictures, or some of the images you get, which you may be able to look at online, you look at some of them, and it looks like a hotel rather than a football stadium, doesn't it? And a luxury hotel at that. Anyway, quite a few of the fans have not made their way back into the seats yet, so the prawn sandwiches must be quite good as well. Second half about to get underway. Lee Mason's just looking at his watch. Tottenham Hotspur leading by 2-0 in their bid to go back to third in the Premier League. Goals by Victor Wanyama and Lucas Moura in very quick succession midway through the first half have put them in a position of total control, it would seem. Huddersfield in their away strip of red and black get us underway for the second half. Will Tottenham Hotspur put their foot down on the pedal and go for more goals and try and get their goal difference even better than it is, or will they do the opposite, take their foot off the gas and say, well, let's keep plenty in the tank for the big one against Manchester City at the Etihad in the Champions League quarter-finals on Wednesday. Either way, it's quite a week for Tottenham Hotspur, who next weekend play Manchester City in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's just relentless, isn't it? But look, what a good start to life inside this new stadium. It can be difficult. It's effectively a neutral ground at the start, isn't it? It's not home, so to speak. The players aren't used to it, but they've settled in nicely. They've got positive results, and I was really impressed with them against Man City. I thought, even though it was a bit of a dog of a match, and City weren't at their best, it was really professional from Tottenham. And today, it's been a similar story. They've not had to play brilliantly. They've done what they needed to do to get that nice cushion, and they can have fun with it now.
No substitutions by either of the two managers at half-time. Spurs have Hugo Lloris in goal. It's a back three. Jan Vertonghen, Juan Foyt and Davinson Sanchez. Across midfield, Kyle Walker-Peters, Moussa Sissoko, Victor Wanyama and Ben Davies, and then Christian Eriksen just behind Lucas Moura and Fernando Llorente. For Huddersfield, Ben Hamer is the keeper. As Foyt flicks the ball in. Chance here for Llorente. It's off the bar. He controlled it beautifully with the right foot, swivelled and hit it well, and it's just his luck at the moment. It cannoned back off the crossbar with Hamer hopelessly beaten.
What a goal this would have been. It's a sensational pass from Juan Foyth, and the touch from Llorente is delicious, it really is, and then he volleys it onto the crossbar. That would have been a truly outstanding goal. I feel a bit sorry for Llorente there.
I mean, he needs a goal. That was a moment of brilliant quality, and he's denied by the woodwork, and Huddersfield were almost put to bed really within 2 minutes of the restart, which has been greeted by a shower of rain, April showers above the stadium in North London. But Llorente providing almost a ray of sunshine for Spurs. Huddersfield have got away with it. They have the ball. I'll tell you what their team is. Hamer, who we mentioned in goal, Hadjigonai, Schindler, Congolo and Derma, the back four across midfield. Bakuna, Stankovic, Hogg and Lowe up front. Carlin Grant, the youngster who scored 3 goals in recent games, but hasn't really featured today as Mora chases a long ball. He's alongside Elias Kachunga, who is a striker who's only got 1 goal in 44 games. I mean, for a striker, that is staggeringly poor. I mean, and this has been the problem with Huddersfield. I mean, Carlin Grant, with 3 goals, is their joint top scorer. He's only just arrived.
He was the only striker that scored any goals of note until recently. By the way, tactically, I think Stankovic has dropped into the rearguard now, so it's a back 5 with Stankovic effectively the sweeper for Huddersfield Town, who I think have looked at this and thought, we just need to keep the score down.
They've got a free kick. The rain has got a little bit heavier. Spurs rather have got a free kick midway inside the Huddersfield half. Christian Eriksen inevitably is the figure standing over the ball. Juan Foyth has gone up for this free kick, got his first goal in English football back in November in a good 1-goal win at Crystal Palace. Eriksen, for once, not involved in the second goal, certainly here today. He's lining it up, it's flicked into the box, it's nodded away by Stankovic. Eriksen follows it up with a volley from a long way out, which is blocked by the Huddersfield defence. Ben Davies will try and keep it in on the far side. That's good play by Davies to find Sissoko, and then by Eriksen, and now Llorente. Lovely football by Tottenham Hotspur. Here's Llorente again, just dragging it back. He's not just a big centre forward in the air, is he? He's shown some lovely touches, not least in that one which so nearly led to a goal a moment ago. Here's Foyth for Spurs, who've dominated the opening 5 minutes of the second half. Again, Llorente showing good footwork and finding Vertonghen. You just sense a Tottenham goal may not be too far away here. This is Ben Davies coming infield from the left-hand side. Eriksen, lovely back heel, but intercepted by Stankovic. And this, you sense, is going to be the pattern of the second half, isn't it?
Class, wasn't it, from Christian Eriksen? Yes. Reading the stat ahead of kick-off. No one, since he came to the Premier League, no one's created more chances or assists than Eriksen. He is a class act, and with his contract running down, I think Spurs fans need to enjoy him while they can, because I just have the feeling, in a similar vein to Aaron Ramsey at Arsenal, to have the feeling that someone from overseas will come in and offer him a contract that Tottenham Hotspur can't match. So I think he's good enough
to play anywhere.
I think he's good enough. If Real Madrid came in for him, it would be a good purchase for Real Madrid.
Real Madrid are all over the place at the moment. They need something, don't they?
They want everything. They want Pogba, they want Eriksen, they want Hazard.
On current form, I'd take Eriksen ahead of Pogba, wouldn't you?
For sure, absolutely. You know what you're going to get with Eriksen, and I think with Luka Modric, perhaps slightly on the way, and I know that he won the Player of the Year last year, but he's not been as good this year. I think someone like Eriksen would come in and fit the bill at the Bernabeu.
Here's Juan Foyth for Spurs. Cannons rather fortuitously into the path of Kyle Walker-Peters, who finds Lucas Moura, scorer of Spurs' second goal. He's trying to create a third one for them here. Gets to the byline. Good block by Lerva, and it's going to be a corner to Tottenham Hotspur.
Nice positive play, wasn't it? Lerva just stuck to his guns. But yeah, Llorente, you feel like his performance deserves a goal. He's put his weight around, he's looked after the ball nicely. He's played pretty well, considering he has that lack of match sharpness.
Short corner by Spurs into the box, met by Davinson Sanchez, who couldn't really direct it very far from the cross by Eriksson. It comes out to Vertonghen. Here's Wanyama out to Jan Vertonghen again. Vertonghen, that's a useful looking cross which is flicked away off the head of Hadjagonai, who's certainly been the best Huddersfield player by some distance this afternoon. Here's Moura back to Carl Walker-Peters. 7 minutes gone in the second half, still 2-0 to Spurs, but the second half has been virtually exclusively played in the Huddersfield half, and the ball is still there with Wanyama finding Sissoko. Davis further out to the left-hand side looking to probe and finding Sissoko again, who rolls it low but gives it away rather cheaply, but it's not a good touch by Hogg, allowing Llorente to win back possession for Tottenham Hotspur. Here's Juan Foyth. Carl Walker-Peters has got Moura on this near side, the Brazilian with a little step over, but then a poor ball forward, and the ball is finally cleared by Huddersfield, and then a foul by Davinson Sanchez gives them a little bit of blessed relief, really, because they've been on the back foot almost since Lee Mason blew his whistle for the second half to start.
Yeah, it's a shame for the spectacle of the match, really, that Huddersfield aren't more competitive. It's almost like just a buzz around the stadium of people just having their own conversations at the moment. It's not competitive enough to retain everybody's interest right now, but I'm sure it will liven up, and I fully expect Spurs to kick on from here and score more goals. Huddersfield are ripe for a good beating, I think, this afternoon. They're not really at it.
They've lost all 9 games against the big 6 clubs this season, you won't be surprised to learn. Only 1 point from 10 games against London clubs as well. Here's Eriksson, good ball, chance, and fired wide rather wastefully by Ben Davis, who, as we mentioned, is not a renowned goal scorer, but does have a goal against Huddersfield in recent seasons to his name, but he got that all wrong.
Yeah, he got himself the wrong side of the opposite fullback very nicely. Lovely play again from Christian Eriksen, who's been outstanding at the start of the second half. Just slips him in, but the body shape is all wrong, and he attacks the ball at a difficult angle, whereby it's easy to drag his shot. He dragged it, 20 yards wide in the end, Ben Davis.
Here's Eriksson, intercepted by Huddersfield, who've lost 10 of their last 11 Premier League games and all of the last 5. And the statistics that they and Fulham have put together are quite shocking. I can't remember a season with 2 teams as poor as these two have been in the same campaign in the Premier League. I mean, we're going to have a stoppage here. Kachunga for Huddersfield and Wanyama for Tottenham are both on the deck. Kachunga looks in some trouble. They came together fairly innocuously, actually. I think Wanyama fell and tried to hook the ball away. I think Kachunga trod unwittingly on Wanyama's ankle and seems to have injured himself in doing so. Lucas Moura is receiving instruction from Maurizio Pochettino, who at one point was being mooted as a potential Manchester United boss next season.
Oh, those doors closed on, didn't they? Yeah, Real Madrid sorted themselves out with Zidane. He's stuck here, whether we like it or not. He's a very, very good manager. He needs to win something. I think that is a fair comment.
That's still a millstone around the club's neck, regardless of the new stadium, the new earning potential. I mean, as a football club, if you don't win trophies, the rest of it is almost academic, particularly a big club.
Yeah. Tottenham Hotspur is a famous old club that's won many trophies down the years, and it's been too long since they won a cup competition. Certainly, it's been a long time since they won the league.
61.
Yeah, it's crazy, really. But the infrastructure is there now to kick on. But what will be the cost of this new stadium? Will it mean a little bit like Arsenal, that with a huge mortgage around the neck, will they have to sell their best players? Will they have to live on a shoestring? I think the answer to that question, we know the answer actually, and the answer is they're going to have to be prudent. And a lot of what happens next for Spurs will be dependent on the manager. Wenger stuck around at Arsenal and managed to work kind of miracles on a limited budget. Will Pochettino stick around to do something similar?
well, there's obviously the great rivalry between the two, but in recent seasons you could argue that Tottenham Hotspur have been the better team of the two North London giants. But Arsenal have won the FA Cup 3 times in that period, which, at the end of the day, it is about, having trophies to your name. And what people forget about Tottenham Hotspur, and for all their, big club status and big six and all this, they've only ever won the league twice. That 1961 they won the double. The previous one was 1951. Yeah. It's the only time. Twice. You'd think, most of I think Manchester City have won it 5 times, haven't they?
Yep.
Liverpool
exactly
more, Manchester United more, Arsenal more. Huddersfield Town have won it more times than Tottenham Hotspur, people forget. It's true.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe it today, but that is the fact, and...
Yeah, they've always been a cup side, haven't they, Tottenham? But even in recent years, in the cup competitions, they've not done particularly
League
well.
Cup 2008, I think, was the last one.
But look, this team is a good team, and even without Kane, Ali, and a number of their star men today, they're on a different level to a side like Huddersfield Town.
Here's Wanyama finding Ben David, or rather Vertonghen, I should say, who strokes it back to Davinson Sanchez. It comes across to Juan Foyth, and the pattern of this half is maintained with Spurs attacking. Loose one though by Llorente, given away to Hadagionai, and finally the ball is in the Tottenham Hotspur half. Davinson Sanchez is all alone as he pushes it forward to Jan Vertonghen. We've had 13 minutes of the second period. Don't forget, we've got Burnley against Cardiff as our featured game at 3 o'clock, followed by Manchester United against West Ham United. Throw into Spurs, level with the edge of the penalty area on the far side. Here's Eriksen. Spurs fans trying to rouse them. It's a little bit quieter since half-time. Walker-Peters does well again, and Llorente in the end finds Moura, who volleyed over, but I think Carl Walker-Peters was offside when he initially played the ball back.
I like the way that he gets forward. He's good in the air as well, Carl Peters. That's 2 or 3 times now he's got in at the far post and nodded the ball back towards goal. Yeah, he's a young player with potential, and I think he would probably be my backup to Kieran Trippier ahead of Serge Aurier, who I just don't think has got the right attitude to be a Tottenham Hotspur player. No, I think they need to offload him this summer, and I'm pretty sure that they will do. But yeah, moving forward, you just wonder about the depth, don't you, at Tottenham? Today they've got 2 youngsters on the bench, Marsh and Skip. They don't, outside of their main 16, don't have a lot else, do they, Tottenham? And that's another reason why Pochettino gets so much praise, because they are competitive with a far smaller squad than all of their rivals.
Yeah, they've got a few injured. Eric Dyer is out injured. Serge Aurier, you mentioned, and Eric Lamela, of course, is also out at the moment, but I know what you mean. You can't compare their squad with that of Manchester City, certainly. Here's Karlan Grant, the young Huddersfield striker, who's tackled by Davinson Sanchez, and we're going to have a retrospective yellow card shown to Juan Foyth by Lee Mason for an earlier foul when he went through hard on Terence Congolo.
That was a shocker. Yeah, good refereeing from Lee Mason. He clocked it, didn't he? He registered it, played on, and thought, right, I'll just bide my time and give him a yellow when play stops. But yeah, that was clumsy from Foyth. I must admit, even though that people at Spurs speak very highly of Juan Foyth, I'm yet to be completely convinced he's top class.
He looks erratic,
as a defender.
Erratic, I would describe him as. As I say, he's a bit like John Stones in the sense that he likes to get forward and he's capable of it, but he doesn't have Stones' defensive qualities. Here's Eriksen trying to clip it forward. It comes off the heels of Bakuna, which was fortunate for Huddersfield. There's a coming together outside the penalty area there. It's going to be a free kick to Huddersfield Town. We've had an hour at this new stadium in North London. About a year ago, when it was still being built, I flew over it coming back from somewhere, and it is staggering. It's like Wembley. You cannot miss it. You look out the plane window and it just dominates the entire north-east London the way Wembley dominates north-west London.
Does it look a little bit like a toilet seat, though, doesn't it, from above? That has been said. I know Arsenal fans have revelled in that.
Here's Karlan Grant, dispossessed by Sissoko, who gets it up. I don't know, I haven't thought of that.
Have you not seen that? No,
I'm not an Arsenal fan, so it hasn't occurred. I don't see any reason to deliberately find a way to slag it off.
Well, yeah, Arsenal fans will find a way. Don't worry about that.
It actually did make me laugh. When Crystal Palace came here for the inaugural game, apparently Palace was singing "Is This the Emirates?" which would have really wound up.
Yeah.
And then they were singing "Can You Hear the Tottenham Sing?" every time it went quiet. Very funny.
Yeah. Opposition teams will never be lavishing praise, will they?
No, they won't. And quite right too. I love all this gallows humour that goes on.
Fun, isn't it?
It is great. I was at Watford Fulham were 4-1 down and facing relegation, and they were singing "How bad must you be? You've only scored 4." As if to suggest that was quite a good result. It was funny. And there was another one where I think it was Mitrovic fired one miles wide in the first half. They were singing "That's why we're going down." Anyway, here there's no such problems for Tottenham. Oh, hang on, there might be. Now, what happened there? We saw Sissoko having or lashing out in some respect at Juninho Bakuna, the midfield player, and player's been halted. I don't know what was going on there.
Well,
there was a push by Bakuna on Sanchez, and then
Sissoko shoves him.
I think Lee Mason's got that right. It was just silly. They were pushing. I mean, there's no reason.
It was all handbags, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it wasn't malicious or nasty. It was just silly and correct. Keep your card in your pocket.
He's ripped it well so far.
Yes. Lucas Moura coming forward. It's a great run. Lucas Moura! Oh, it would have been a wonderful goal, but he hit it low, straight at Ben Hamer, who held on well. Brilliant run by the Brazilian, who just jinked his way forward 20 yards to the edge of the box, let fly, but keeper well placed.
Yeah, it was glued to his foot, wasn't it? Just waltzed his way past 3 or 4 players. Very direct, very quick, isn't he? Across the floor, Lucas Moura. And in the end, the shot sort of bobbles its way towards the goalkeeper. Not the best strike, but a lovely dribble.
Maybe they'll be looking for a little bit more from, 9 goals in 39 years.
He started the season.
Scored those 2 goals at Old Trafford.
He got player of the month.
He did in August or September.
I think it might have been August.
Yeah.
He was outstanding.
Yes,
and it just he faded big time. And
hang on, there's a mistake by Stankovic that he's got away with. He tried to clear it. It was blocked by Lucas Moura, and fortunately for the Slovenian Huddersfield now defender, who's reverted back from a midfield player in the first half, he managed to atone for that error. Lucas Moura trying to whip up the crowd in this stadium, and "Come on you Spurs" is the response. Here's Carl Walker-Peters finding Wanyama, and now Vertonghen. Here's Llorente. Out wide is Davis. Davis looking to take on Hadjagon. He's got the cross in. Llorente's header. And once again, it's off target. He's had 3 chances, Llorente, hasn't he, today? 2 headers wide and a wonderful shot against the bar. And the goal just won't come for him.
It's another quality cross from Ben Davis. The run is excellent from Llorente. He gets across his man at the near post, as he did from that set piece in the first period. There's a glancing header, but it's well wide in the end. It doesn't actually go behind for a goal kick even. But yeah, Llorente, I've been impressed by most of his play. It's just the finish that's been missing today.
It's not been clinical, has it? The first half and second half possession statistics at the moment, such as they are identical. 76 Tottenham, 24 Huddersfield, which is not surprising. Huddersfield actually have it at the moment. Here's Congolo just coming forward from centre half. It's a nice ball out to Durm. Durm, though, runs into trouble, and Foyt will flick it away. He looks comfortable on the ball. We've mentioned that before about him. He's got a nice touch. That's good play by Sissoko again, who was pulled back, I think, by Bakuna, who might find himself in the book for that. Yes, he will.
Yeah, well, after what happened a moment or two ago, where he shoves the player, that yellow card was coming really for Bakuna. He got away with the first one. This time he doesn't. Sissoko's been excellent, and he's just the type of player for this type of match where you have to break down stubborn opposition, because what he does that a lot of central midfielders can't do, he's got that power, hasn't he? When it's all tight in there, he can just run with the ball past players and break the lines and open up the whole pitch, and he's done that on numerous occasions today. Most improved player probably in the Premier League.
Yeah, I was going along with that, and I think you're right about Tottenham Player of the Year.
I think he probably has to be.
Better.
Yeah.
I mean, Son has been
Son is a candidate. Yeah, but Son has been sub for a lot of the campaign.
Yeah, no, and he was missing for the Asian Championships, wasn't he? But
I'd give it to Sissoko personally, but yeah, be a close race between the two of them.
No, what's happened there? There's a stumble. It's Chris Lerve who's gone over. I think he might have awarded a handball there, because what he did, he fell over and then picked up the ball. Tottenham have taken the free kick quickly. Jan Vertonghen trying to show his silky skills, not quite coming off, but he's managed to find Sissoko. Foyth to Eriksson. Eriksson centre midfield, midway inside the Huddersfield half. Another goal would send the Spurs fans into greater levels of volume, but Juan Foyth's cross is an absolutely awful one. Talking about players of the year, there seems to be a two-horse race for the overall player of the year, Sterling or Van Dijk.
Van Dijk for me. Yeah, Van Dijk for me. Obviously, Raheem Sterling's been outstanding, but Virgil van Dijk, in my opinion, has produced the best central defensive performance of any player for years. For absolute years.
And has almost transformed the fortunes of his club, where that was been a poor area for so long.
The improvement in Liverpool's defence since he went there is just ridiculous. And he had a flawless campaign. No one's dribbled past. I did a piece on him this week for the Premier League, analysing his season. His stats are off the scale, Van Dijk, in terms of being way ahead of any Liverpool player in terms of all the defensive stats. In the duels, he's top of the Premier League for percentage one. Aerial duels, he's second. He's a machine, Van Dijk. And he will get my vote. I get the vote in the Football Writers Awards, and he will get it.
It's a close one, though, isn't it? I mean, I think there are aspects of Raheem Sterling's off-the-field behaviour where you might think he deserves it, because he's done so much, confronting racists and that kind of stuff. Brilliant. Anyway, here's Spurs coming. Walker Peters with a delicious cross. It's hit by Davis, and it goes cannoning back. While we were chatting there, Huddersfield have brought on a substitute. Steve Mounier has come on and replaced Eric Durm, so he's brought on a striker for a full-back. We've got 21 minutes left in North London. Tottenham haven't yet managed to increase their half-time lead. Here's Eriksson, though, trying to do so with a corner, which is headed away by Huddersfield. Lucas Moura comes scampering all the way back and pushes it to Davis. Davis back to Lucas Moura, who's got Eriksson further forward down that left flank, but he's come in field instead to Moussa Sissoko. Sissoko clips it forward. It's an easy header for Huddersfield by Mounier, and now it comes to Juan Foyth, who swaps passes with Sissoko and then rolls it forward to Vertonghen. Davis is in a bit of space down this left-hand side, trying to negotiate his way past Hajagonai. Here's Eriksson, loose one by him, which doesn't happen very often, and Huddersfield might counter here. Oh, this is a chance for Huddersfield. It's Karlan Grant into the box. Grant takes the shot. It hits Davinson Sanchez, and in the end goes into the arms of Hugo Lloris. That's the best and clearest opening that Huddersfield Town have had this afternoon. And Karlan Grant, the player in form, but at the other end, it's Eriksson, it's Llorente, and it still won't go in for him. It was a brilliant defensive tackle end to end as Karlan Grant went close for Huddersfield. Tottenham countered quickly. Eriksson and Moura both involved, and then Llorente halted by an absolutely wonderful block, I think by Congolo, who threw himself at it, and the ball went over the bar.
Sensational tackle. It's a recovery tackle because he was involved earlier on in the move, Congolo. He got across so fast. At the other end of the pitch, wonderful breakaway by Huddersfield, but he just didn't have the pace. Karlan Grant to explode away from the defence.
Tottenham corner. Eriksson out to Davis, who hits it hard, but it's blocked easily by a Huddersfield defender, and Davis has to go all the way back now and steer it into Hugo Lloris, who still hasn't had to make any serious kind of save. I mean, that last one, it just popped up at him, really. It wasn't really even a save, it was a gather.
Yeah, Llorente, you just think, is it not his day? I think that would be the only thing that Because it's been a professional, business-like performance from Spurs. What would top it would be a Llorente goal. Just to give them the confidence, because they might need him. Between now and the end of the season, all the talk is of Son leading the line, and he probably will. But Llorente will get more game time with no Kane, so he could definitely do with a goal. Although,
talking of which, he's just gone down actually with an ankle injury, and that's what Kane suffered. I think it's nothing in the region of what's happened to Harry Kane, but he's hobbling a little bit, Llorente. Tottenham haven't made a substitution yet, and we've only got 90. You're right, I don't think he wants to bring Son on, does he? There's no need. Keep him fresh. Goal scorer from the Champions League game the other night here.
Yeah, I think that the only options I consider are the two kids, George Marsh or Oliver Skipp. Give them a bit of game time. They're not going to lose this match, Tottenham Hotspur. I'd be amazed if they threw this away.
Here's Foyt coming down the right-hand side. It's a good run by the Argentine player. He's found Moura. Moura going away from goal at the moment. Finds Kyle Walker-Peters. Useful cross. Davis at the back stick. Plays it back across goal. There's no one there to put it in for Spurs, and in the end it's put behind by Huddersfield for a corner. But that was good work by the two youngsters, Foyt and Walker-Peters there.
Yeah, excellent from Foyt initially, and then Walker-Peters, who's backing up the centre-back, joins in, finds his opposite number, the left-back, and
corner's taken short. Eriksson fires it from just inside the area, and on his weaker foot, the left, puts it quite a long way wide of the post.
Yeah, he just dragged it. They almost caught them napping, didn't they?
Here we are going to get a substitution now for Tottenham Hotspur. It's Oliver Skipp, young central midfield player, who is coming on and is replacing Moussa Sissoko, who not for the first time this season is getting a standing ovation from the Tottenham Hotspur faithful.
Well, they love him now. He was not a fan's favourite, I think that much is fair to say, but he's improved beyond recognition with Sissoko this season, and this is another stellar performance.
Yeah,
it really is. He's been a class act today,
and again he gets a rest ahead of the big one.
Yeah, he'll play for sure at the Etihad.
Oliver Skipp is a nice clean cut looking young man with a sort of sensible haircut. Looks like a sort of choir boy rather than a footballer, doesn't he? But useful player. He's 18 years old. He plays for the England under-18 international squad. Made his debut in a League Cup game against West Ham United back in October, and this is his 11th game of the season. Here's Hogg chipping it forward. It's useful, and it's wide. Oh, Steve Mounier should have scored for Huddersfield. It's been their problem all season. It was a lovely, delicate cross by Jonathan Hogg. Mounier, in acres of space, had time to put his header on target. Would have become the first opposition player to score in a senior game at this stadium, and he fluffed it.
Terrible miss. It really is. What a pass from Jonathan Hogg. And Mounier is in the side to score headers.
Yes.
It's supposed to be his speciality, and that's a free header, 1v1 with the keeper, and he's nodded it wide. It wasn't even close.
No.
That is why he's sub, and that's why he won't be in the Premier League next season.
That's why he's not good enough for the Premier League. 2 goals in 32 games. I mean, the statistics for the Huddersfield strikers would be bad statistics for a central defender, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would.
You know, I mean, Marcus Alonso scores more goals than Huddersfield's entire strike force.
Yeah, no, that was terrible, really, from Steve Mounier.
Booking for Vertonghen in the meantime for Spurs.
I think Jonathan Hogg has had an okay season. He's one of the guys to come out with credit. He's a good ball winner.
He's had a few injuries, hasn't he? He's been limited a bit lately.
Yeah, but as he showed there, he's got an eye for a pass as well. He's not just a stopper.
We deserve better. It's frustrating for a midfielder, isn't it? You play a lovely ball like that straight onto a striker's head, who's in the clear, and he doesn't even produce a save from the keeper. But I mean, it is just woeful. It's not, 19. They've still only got 19 goals, and they would only have 4 games left. Here's Carlin Grant, who can be excused, I think, from Huddersfield's point of view. Gets the shot in off his right foot, and he's slashed it wide of the post. But I mean, he can be excused, can't he? Because he's new to the club, and actually his figures are very, very good indeed. By contrast to the others, he's got 3 goals in 8 games prior to today.
No, his reputation is enhanced. Carlin Grant, Charlton were devastated to lose him, I think, in terms of their promotion bid, and he's been positive today. Not everything's come off, but he hasn't hesitated. He hasn't let any disappointments affect his game. They're very bright, took his man on and got his shot away. Okay, it was a poor shot, but he's got good confidence. I just think he's loving life in the Premier League, and why not? It might be a long time until he comes back, but he is one that has the potential to return to the top flight. There's something about him.
Yeah, I agree. Here's Eriksson for Tottenham Hotspur. He'd love a 3rd goal just to set the seal on the victory. Hogg has gone down. But I think it was he who committed the foul. It's a Tottenham Hotspur free kick for Tongan. Plays it out wide towards Davis. The sun is still shining down on this wonderful new arena. Here's Skip, who's on as a substitute for Tottenham Hotspur. Finding Foyth. Perfect time for Oliver Skip to come on, isn't it? You've 15 minutes left. You're 2-0 up against a team who are bottom of the table and can't score for love nor money.
Yeah, no, this is
the sun is shining.
Exactly the scenario that Pochettino would have wanted to be in, where he can bring on the youngster and just give him more game time. It is an area that they can improve in Spurs. Sissoko aside, I don't think that the engine room has been their strong suit this season. I would expect them to invest in a more experienced midfield player. But Skip, given how competent he's been...
Hamer almost in trouble there under pressure from Llorente. He managed to get his ball out in the end, and actually Huddersfield are on the counter here with Elias Kachunga. And here's Stankovic joining this attack and then playing a very poor ball out wide. This game reminds me of the sort of 3rd round cup tie where Premier Leagues draw a sort of midway to bottom championship team, field a much changed side and just stroll to a 2-0 win. It doesn't look like a Premier League game.
No, it doesn't. Well, Huddersfield are not playing Premier League standard football. It's as simple as that. As I said earlier, I think they'd be bottom half championship, this particular group of players.
It's almost a mistake there by Spurs. Carlin Grant had half an eye of goal. Bakuna might here, but Skip pushes him over, and shot comes in the end from Hop, but I think the referee's going to bring it back for a free kick to Huddersfield. And they may have a chance, one of them, to become the first opposing goal scorer on this new ground.
It's good for them, though, that they've been impregnable so far.
Yeah.
So the new stadium, obviously that there have been nerves, particularly with the opening night against Crystal Palace, but if they can produce 3
to a fortress.
3 successive shot outs. What a great start to life in their new home.
Absolutely. 5 goals without reply so far in this stadium.
Mind you, this is in an appealing position, I would suggest.
Well, Bakuna did score recently his first goal for Huddersfield in that defeat by West Ham. And he's a long way out, isn't he? 30 yards, it's dead centre. He looks as if he's going to go for goal. It'll take something to beat Lloris from here, and he didn't, because Lloris managed to get across and tip it onto the bar. Well, that was a wonderful free kick by Juninho Bakuna. And Lloris, for the first time in the match, is tested, and he managed to push it up onto the crossbar.
Quality shots, it really is, and that's a decent save from Hugo Lloris. It was destined for the top corner. Free kicks don't get much better than that, I'm afraid.
Yeah, 10 minutes to go. This time it's a corner from Bakuna. It's headed away by Eriksson, and Mora would try and break here. And there's a 4-on-1 here for Tottenham Hotspur. They're streaming forward. It's Carl Walker-Peters, Christian Eriksen, it deflects, hits the post, Eriksen again, and it's blocked. Goodness me, they've hit the post and the bar in the second half, having seen the bar hit at the opposite end just a moment ago. It was a lightning break by Spurs. Eriksen got the shot in, the post was in the way, and his follow-up shot was smothered.
Great counter, wasn't it, from Tottenham Hotspur? In the blink of an eye, they go from one 18-yard box to the other. Christian Eriksen, I will excuse him there. I think he was blowing. By the time he got there, he'd run.
Well, he made the clearing header from the corner.
He'd run about 80 yards to get there into the opposition penalty box. I think he was absolutely knackered there. That's the reason the shot didn't go in.
Well, here come Huddersfield. They've perked up a little bit. It's Hadja Gunai in towards Mounier, who scoops it over the crossbar. Much more difficult chance than the header he missed 5 minutes or so ago. We're looking at the counter-attack again. Goodness me, there's one backpedaling defender and there's 3 white shirts coming at pace. And I think maybe, that backpedaling defender, Lerman, had just got a foot on this.
No, he did, the shot was deflected. It wasn't always powerful.
It deflected onto the post, it did.
Yeah, I think it would have been dragged wide. In the end, Kachunga from the follow-up makes a great sliding block as well. Stankovic is off.
Yeah, he's off, an Aaron Moy, who last weekend scored from the penalty spot against Leicester City. Huddersfield actually have been awarded penalties in their last 3 Premier League games. They haven't got anywhere near getting one today, but they're on the attack here. This is a good move by Huddersfield. It's cut back towards Moy. Back it comes again. It's going to be Hadja Gunai to deliver. Although he's delayed his cross, Jonathan Hogg clips it in, headed away by Vertonghen, and then helped on its way by Eriksson. Hogg still, who tries to find Kachunga, and it's going to be a goal kick. Kachunga's furious. He wanted a corner kick, and he's not going to get one. Hadja Gunai is pleading with the assistant referee on that far side. He's smiling. It did actually. First, the Huddersfield fans are looking pretty grim-faced behind that goal. Well, it was a corner, no question. It's Vertonghen who's got his foot to the ball. That's a terrible decision.
Well, for the referee and the linesman to both get that one wrong when they weren't far away, it's just poor, really. I do understand the frustration, but look, Huddersfield have gone for it. They've gone to a back 4 again now. They're more attacking. They've got some more brighter, inventive players on the pitch, and lo and behold, they're suddenly creating things. Yes, they're slightly more open at the back, but they're making a game of it.
Here's Eriksson forward to Lucas Moura. Lucas Moura inside the penalty area. Not much support at the moment. He's got Carl Walker-Peters out wide. It's not a very good cross, and it's hoofed away quite comfortably by Huddersfield, only as far as Vertonghen, who's caught in possession by Bakuna, who's been lively in the last few minutes. Here's Aaron Moy down the line. Clever ball, and Grant is chasing. Good play by Juan Foyth. That was good, strong defending by the young Argentinian. And Tottenham come forward as the game opens up in the last 10 minutes. Llorente can't get possession back for Spurs and has gone down injured again, and the ball is going to be put out of play.
Yeah, it's a bit of a nasty looking collision. He's holding his shin. Fernando Llorente rather. Danny Rose is about to come on, not for Llorente. No, Vertonghen, I think. I don't know if Vertonghen's picked up an injury or whether it's just a case of saving him from Manchester City.
Didn't see him get injured. I suspect it's tactical. He doesn't seem to be in any kind of trouble, does he? To floor the crowd as he goes off.
He just goes head down. Not entirely happy, Jan Vertonghen.
Danny Rose is on. Another player who's been very outspoken about the unwanted elements of racism that have crept into the game. Got a close-up shot of Dele Alli in the crowd looking on. Looking very fetching. And what's he got on his... F something on the sort of...
He's looking very trendy, isn't he?
He's got his own fashion brand, hasn't he, Dele Alli? You go around the underground in London, huge pictures of him.
Well, he looks better in that gear than me or you would.
He looks better in any gear than I would.
but it was noticeable on the image we saw on our monitor that he's got his hand fully strapped up.
My feeling is he might have been able to play today with a cast, but again, I don't think they risked him.
This surprised me.
Yeah.
Son Heung-min is stripped and ready for action.
Coming on,
maybe for Juventus, maybe they just decided it's not worth it.
As long as Son stays out of trouble injury-wise for the next 5 or so minutes, he should be all right. Huddersfield have been good actually in the last 10 minutes. Here they come again. It's Karlan Grant. There's an overlap from Lerva. Grant trying to find a way down the left-hand side. Lerva gets the cross. It's not a good one. It's behind Hugo Lloris's goal. 4.5 minutes left.
Even when Huddersfield were more than in with a shout of escaping relegation, I looked at them. Whenever I saw them play, I thought they're better when they're aggressive. They're better when they're on the front foot, trying to snap away inside the opposition half. I just don't think they're very good at sitting back and holding their shape and playing for a counter-attacking game, because they've never had that speed up top. And finally in the second half, last 10 minutes, they've played that style. They look so much better. It's frustrating. I think Jan Sievert's got the tactics wrong here today.
Llorente is coming off, and Son Heung-min, who enjoys it here, he's scored in both of the previous games at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He got the first goal for Spurs here in the win against Palace, and of course he got the winner late on against Manchester City in the Champions League in midweek, so he'd be happy to make it 3. Looks like your prediction's going to come true. You said 2-0 Spurs, didn't you?
Well, yeah, but you said 3, so I think we're both in the hunt. Yeah.
We haven't got any money on it, so it doesn't really matter.
No.
Just bragging rights. Here's Christian Eriksen looking for that third goal, clips it in. Moura, and there it is, 3-0 Tottenham Hotspur. Moura's got his second, does a somersault of joy, the crowd erupts. Spurs have finished off the job nicely with minutes remaining. It's Tottenham Hotspur 3, Huddersfield 0.
It's a fitting scoreline. They deserve to win this game by at least 3 goals, Spurs. They've been a class apart. It's a lovely break down the right-hand side. Eriksen, who's had an excellent second half. It's a delightful cross, and the first touch from Lucas Moura on the run. It's not that easy to control, but he makes it look easy. Sits up nicely for his right-footed volley.
Yeah.
It's a clinical finish from Lucas Moura. And John, you get your prediction right.
There you are. Well, you never know, they'll probably get a fourth now just to mess it up. But Moura, he sorted his feet out very quickly there, didn't he? He touched it with his left and then he drilled it in with his right. Nice celebration. I've seen that before from him.
Yes.
Double somersault. It's a gymnastic sort of Simone Biles style celebration from
I'm always
Lucas
impressed
Moura.
when footballers can do that, because never in a million years could I have done that, even when I was fit.
No. Well, there aren't that many that can. Was it Luar, wasn't it? He used to do about 10, didn't he, when he was at Newcastle.
I do think if I was a manager, I wouldn't
want them to do it.
Like
it does have dangers, I think players have got injured in the past doing it.
Yeah.
Well, the Spurs fans are in great voice now. They are cemented into third place in the Premier League, although, of course, the other 3 behind them all have games to come. United today, Chelsea tomorrow and Arsenal on Monday, so it's going to be a long weekend for Tottenham Hotspur fans checking what's going on in other games. Manchester United are the first of those 3 to play. They entertain West Ham United. We've got commentary on that from 5:30 local time with Tom Rennie and Rufus Brevitt. Chelsea involved in the weekend's big game at Liverpool. That's huge. And Arsenal go to Watford on Monday. We're in the final minute here. Spurs have increased their goal difference as well today, which, as we mentioned before, could be important because it's it's now 6 points between Manchester United in 6th and Tottenham in 3rd, but of course United have got a game in hand. United cannot afford to slip up against West Ham now. We know that much because of this result. I don't think United would have expected Huddersfield to do them a favour, but even a draw for United at home to West Ham, and you'd think, might take... Well, certainly they wouldn't be able to catch Spurs, you wouldn't think.
United have got some tough games to come.
They have,
today's one against West Ham is one of those that you would certainly chalk up as a must-win in their race for top 4 finish. You'd back them to beat a sort of out of sorts Hammer side at the moment.
3 minutes to be added on by the 4th official, Paul Tierney. And Aaron Moy has the ball in centre midfield for Huddersfield, finds Jonathan Hogg. Hogg and Hadjiganai have been the best 2 for Huddersfield, haven't they?
Yeah.
The only 2 really who you'd say have lifted them beyond mediocre.
Yeah, I think Hogg could get himself another Premier League club potentially. He's done pretty well since they've been in the Premier League. Hadjiganai is not a bad right back either, but has been in and out of the side. they've got to play with this kind of adventure that they've shown in the last 15-20. They've got to do this between now and the end of the season. There's no point playing this negative football.
No, I agree. Here's Aaron Moy, distinctive figure with that bald head. Wonderful story last week. Young girl from Texas was watching the World Cup and saw Aaron Moy playing for Australia, and she was undergoing chemotherapy for a cancer. Brave little kid, 6 years old, and she adopted Aaron Moy as a kind of mascot because she said he looked like him, and she became a Huddersfield town. Last week they flew her over to the game, and she walked out with Moy. Brilliant, and a lot of the Huddersfield players were saying, there's more to life than staying in the Premier League.
Absolutely, there is.
Wonderful story, and fair play to Aaron Moy, who is an inspiration to her and to others.
Yeah, look, footballers would always want to do nice things like that. They will. It's not always publicised, but as we've seen with Raheem Sterling this year, he's one of many footballers that like to do good with their positions.
They're starting to have a voice for. They're starting to become sort of important key figures in life generally, aren't they? I mean, look at Raheem Sterling. My daughter is not going to look up to some politician, but will certainly look up to Raheem Sterling. Yeah. Here's Son Heung-min. Can he score again on this ground? He's going to try and set up Moura for a hat-trick. Oh, he's got a hat-trick. It's a wonderful finish by Lucas Moura. It's a wonderful finish for Tottenham Hotspur because they've got a fourth goal. Treble for Lucas. Tottenham Hotspur 4, Huddersfield Town 0.
Oh, it's a sensational finish. It really is. Son Heung-min, he's at the heart of it. Driving run. And it's a beautifully weighted through ball. Not the easiest finish. It's like the one in the first half. Again, he goes across the keeper. This time, it's into the far top corner. It is emphatic with a capital E. And it rounds off a very professional performance from Spurs.
It does indeed. Huddersfield put to the sword at the death bite. The man who's going to walk back off the pitch with the match ball, Lucas Moura, the Brazilian. Hasn't scored too many this season. Prior to today, he'd only got one since Boxing Day, but he's suddenly got 3, and he's taken his season's tally now to 12, and he's inflicted the final blow on relegated Huddersfield Town. Tottenham Hotspur have now scored 7 goals without reply at their new ground, where they've won their first 3 games, this one convincingly, and it couldn't really have gone better for Mauricio Pochettino. He's rested key figures, he's got the 3 points, he's improved the goal difference, and now it's over to the other 3 chasers for those 2 Champions League places to try and emulate what Spurs have done here. Hat-trick for Lucas Moura and a goal for Victor Wanyama to start it all off. It's finished Tottenham Hotspur 4, Huddersfield Town 0. You're listening to Premier League Live. Here's a chance for Tottenham, and it's beautifully stuck away by Victor Wanyama, who just burst through the inside left channel, took the ball around Ben Hamer, and very, very calmly rolled it into the back of the net. Here's Foyth finding Sissoko in plenty of space. Sissoko to Lucas Moura! 2-0 Spurs! They've got a couple of goals in the twinkling of an eye. Foyth sticks the ball in. Chance here for Llorente. It's off the bar. He controlled it beautifully with the right foot, swiveled and hit it well, and it's just his luck at the moment. It's Carlin Grant into the box. Grant takes the shot, it hits Davinson Sanchez, and in the end goes into the arms of Hugo Lloris. It's Eriksson, it's Llorente, and it still won't go in for him. It'll take something to beat Lloris from here, and he didn't, because Lloris managed to get across and tip it onto the bar. Well, that was a wonderful free kick by Juninho Bacuna. Carl Walker-Peters, Christian Eriksen, it deflects, hits the post, Eriksen again, and it's blocked. Here's Christian Eriksen looking for that 3rd goal, clips it in. Moura, and there it is, 3-0 Tottenham Hotspur. Moura's got his 2nd. He's going to try and set up Moura for a hat-trick. Oh, he's got a hat-trick. It's a wonderful finish by Lucas Moura. It's a wonderful finish for Tottenham Hotspur because they've got a 4th goal. Well, there you have it. Lucas Moura having the last laugh with the fourth goal for Tottenham Hotspur, his third. Wonderful hat-trick, actually. They were all really well taken goals. That after Victor Wanyama had put Spurs in front. Huddersfield Town, they continue in their dismal frame of mind. They've still only got 19 goals for the season. No opposition side has yet scored against Tottenham Hotspur at this ground, and Spurs, well, in the end it was a stroll. The first 20 minutes, 25 minutes were a little bit anxious. Then they got the 2 goals in the first half and rounded it off at the end. Job done.
Yeah, absolutely. It was never in doubt, really. It was two teams that are levels apart. Tottenham Hotspur are an excellent Premier League side, deserve their place inside the top 4 at the moment, and they're up against a Huddersfield team that's low on confidence, low on quality, and who really set out to be too defensive, in my view. It backfired on them. They didn't look like doing anything in the game until they actually tried to push on and score goals, and of course the byproduct of that was that they left themselves a bit open towards the end, and that's why Spurs scored twice towards the end of the game. It was I guess that's why they didn't do it from the outset, Huddersfield Town, but no, from a Spurs angle, job done, and they move on. They can go to that Champions League game at the Etihad full of self-belief.
Where do you see the battle for these two places? I mean, it's not a good result for Manchester United, this one, because 4 more goals means the difference in goal difference between Spurs and Manchester United is now 12. It's almost worth an extra point at this stage in the season. United 61, Arsenal 63, Chelsea 66, but they play Liverpool away, tough game, and Tottenham 67.
Yeah, looking at the fixtures, I do fancy Spurs for a top 4 finish. I said that before kick-off today. Yeah, and I think they deserve it over the balance of the entire campaign. The other spot is up for grabs. I couldn't trust Chelsea based on their away form this season. They've got 3 really hard away games, and they've been woeful on the road, just as Arsenal have. Arsenal have got some tricky away games as well. Yeah. Manchester United they've lost momentum. So who knows? I do quietly fancy Arsenal to pinch 4th this season, just ahead of United and Chelsea. But look, there won't be much in it between them. But I can't see Spurs relinquishing their place inside the top 4.
They've done the job very efficiently today. I mean, I feel a bit sorry for Llorente. His strike partner Moura has got a hat-trick. Llorente could have had a hat-trick himself.
Yeah, look, he's proved his value in the hold-up play, and sometimes it's not just about scoring goals when you're a striker. They're judged on goals, but when I saw him earlier on this season, I remember he made a goal by backing into the centre half. It was a really key goal, actually, against Newcastle United that we covered here on TalkSport Live. He backed into his man, it dropped for Son Heung-min to score the only goal of the game, and his presence made the difference that day. And I think Pochettino is smart enough to realise that he has worth and has value, but for his own confidence, I think Llorente could do with a goal.
And just to put you on the spot, I mean, obviously Tottenham now set their sights on the Etihad and the Champions League. How do you see that one going?
I think City are still favourites, personally. I just think on home turf, much will depend on how they start the game. If City can score early, as they so often have this year on home turf, then I think that they can put Tottenham to the sword. They're a better side than Tottenham, Manchester City, but it's a great first leg score for them, because if Tottenham can nick a goal, well, that really heaps massive pressure on Manchester City. So look, it's a tie that's well worth watching, and I think the game will be far, far better than it was here just a few days ago.
Yeah, well, they've rested Kieran Trippier, they've rested Toby Alderweireld, Dele Alli should be back, Danny Rose came on late, as did Son Heung-min, so the preparations have been good for Tottenham Hotspur. My thanks to Adrian for being alongside me for this opening game of your Premier League Saturday. Plenty coming up. Next we've got Burnley against Cardiff. Cardiff have brought in Harry Arter for this game. Burnley are unchanged at Turf Moor. Massive game down at the bottom. And then, of course, we've got Manchester United. Having seen Tottenham win handsome, we will look to match that. They're up against West Ham. That's it from me. All it remains for me is to wish you a very good afternoon. Enjoy the rest of the Premier League action, and a very goodbye. You're listening to Premier League Live.
There's more to life than football, money and fun. Well, not much.
Kick off the new season with TalkSport's £1 million predictor game.
Register now at talksport.com/predictor and play for free throughout the season.
Play it in the van. Play it on the can. Play it with your gran.
Win £1 million sterling.
It's the biggest prize in the history of TalkSport.
The TalkSport £1 million predictor game. Players must be 18 or over. See talksport.com/predictor for full conditions.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Kane now on his left foot, bends the shot, what a goal from Harry Kane! MBE! Stunning finish with his left foot into the top corner. It's wonderful from Spurs. It's magnificent from Harry Kane. No wonder the Queen wanted to bestow an honour upon him. What a goal to celebrate.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
Salah's readying himself to take this one. Van Dijk's there. Lovren's there. Fabinho's there to open his account for Liverpool. And just as City go 2-1 down at Leicester, Liverpool stamp their authority at Anfield. Yet more. Liverpool 4, Newcastle 0. Title challenge on. Are they now the favourites?
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
Aubameyang through to Torreira inside the area. Torreira scores! And surely now, North London is red again. Arsenal 4, Tottenham 2. Here's Maddison for Leicester. Vardy chance, Vardy goal. Leicester City out of nowhere have got the lead. Jamie Vardy, who's been virtually anonymous this afternoon, isn't anymore. Wonderful finish by Vardy, and it's Chelsea 0, Leicester City 1.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
The Premier League preview show with TalkSport.
Pogba believes it. Rashford hits it. Oh, it's a goal. It's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
TalkSport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
He's put down the dumbbells and has turned up here for the show. Chris Iwelumo is on the preview show. A Premier League winner, Paul Parker, joins us on the Premier League preview show.
Subscribe to the podcast today at talksport.com.
This is Premier League Live.
Premier League Live with TalkSport.
Oh, Lloris has missed it, it's gone in. Off Alderweireld, I think, for the own goal. Liverpool back in front.
Bringing you all the goals from every game, right across the country, from the world's biggest and best league.
Welcome home, Tottenham Hotspur. There's the goal they waited nearly 700 days for.
English football at its finest.
He's got someone up alongside him, it's Troy Deeney. 3-1 Watford. And does that seal Fulham's fate?
Premier League Live with TalkSport.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Burnley against Cardiff City from Turf Moor. I'm your host, Russell Hargreaves, and alongside me, the former Chelsea, QPR and Sunderland winger Clive Walker. And this is Premier League Live. Welcome to the Northwest for a good old-fashioned relegation six-pointer. While a third straight win for Burnley would realistically be more than enough to guarantee their Premier League status, Cardiff head into this key showdown 5 points adrift of safety, and they lost 5 of their last 6 as well. So defeat this afternoon, and somehow Neil Warnock's men have to engineer at least 9 more points from their final 5 league games. Accruing points and scoring goals away from home has been a major problem for the Bluebirds. As for the Clarets, they've lost just 4 of 14 in the second half of this Premier League campaign. That's not far off top 6 form since December, and a key reason why 3 more points should see them safe. So alongside me is Clive Walker. Clive, always a pleasure. Home team starting as the favourites, but how do you see this one panning out?
Do you know what, Russell? This game's turned out to be quite an exciting fixture in many ways. I mean, okay, we might not see, what we see at the top of the league with the quality and the finishing and things like that, but we're going to see mistakes, genuine mistakes. Players really trying to play well, trying to do the right thing, trying to do as they've been instructed by the manager, but they get it wrong. And you know with these two teams, the way their season's gone, especially Cardiff, but Burnley as well, this is a big game for them to win. If they can win this, puts them safe for next season, and they can start relaxing a little bit more. So a big 3 points for them, especially at home with the games they've got coming up as well. So big game for Burnley, but obviously huge for Cardiff, but they've been huge for weeks on end. This is nothing new for Cardiff. What I'm surprised about with Cardiff is they don't change and they leave themselves wide open time and time again. And whether Burnley's style exploits that, we'll have to wait and see, but it certainly looks to be an interesting fixture.
We'll go with Burnley then for the team news first of all. Unchanged to the side that beat Bournemouth 3-1 last time out, so it's Tom Heaton in goal. Back four of Matthew Lawton alongside Charlie Taylor, Ben Mee and James Tarkowski. It's Ashley Westwood, Jeff Hendrick and Jack Cork in midfield, and young Dwight McNeil supporting Ashley Barnes and Chris Wood up front. The bench is Johan Bergud-Munson, Robbie Brady and Ben Gibson, Joe Hart, Stephen Ward, Matesh Vidra and Kevin Long. What do you make of that lineup? It's relatively consistent, and for me it's the Wood-Barnes show up front, clicking, scoring, and just really, really, I think, complementing each other that has been critical.
Yeah, I think the two up front, I think the interest between the early stages of the season and this stage of the season is that the two up front make a huge difference, and we all know that scoring goals and creativity and all that is the big part of the game, but these two up front have got to work hard together, they've got to work well, and in a system that suits everybody else, so they sort of all slot in no matter who's playing, who's selected, injuries, etc. They have to slot in alongside the 4-4-2 system, and the two up front make it economical for them to play that way, so when they're in danger, in trouble, no fear about smashing the ball long and picking up the bits and pieces, and the midfield players then react accordingly. But it's a system that has worked. It's a system that didn't work in the first half of the season, but he stuck to his guns, Sean Dyche, and they've sort of come through it, and a win today will see them home.
Just to bring you up to speed with the rest of Burnley's team news, Aaron Lennon, Stephen Defoe, Peter Crouch among those absent, and it was thought that Phil Bardsley might be fit for this one after Clive sustaining a freak leg injury on a ping pong table. They were playing head tennis, the lads, somehow managed to slip, now missed 2 games, Lawton deputising with his 100th appearance last time out, but Bardsley still doesn't make it.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Yeah. Like to have been a fly on the wall, I think, when that happened. And it happens. These freak things happen from time to time where you can't understand. I remember cricking my neck once cleaning my teeth. So these silly things. And
it was a shoelace one, wasn't there? Where someone did their back.
That's right. Yeah, just stupid little things that happen. You never see them coming. One of those things, Matt Lowton will come in. He'll do the job. I don't see a problem with that. He's got the experience, so that'd be fine. As I said before, slotting in players usually works for Burnley.
Yeah, spot on. The former Aston Villa man, I'm sure, will not disappoint. In terms of Cardiff, 2 changes to the side that lost a week and a half ago against Manchester City by 2-0. In come Harry Arter, who's fit again in midfield. The midfielder, of course, on loan from Bournemouth. Also in is the Danish striker Kenneth Zohore. Joe Rawls and Oumar Niasse dropped down to the bench. So it's Neil Etheridge in goal. Back four of Lee Peltier, Joe Bennett, Sean Morrison, the skipper, and Bruno Aquele Manga. In midfield, it is Archer alongside Aaron Gunnarsson and Victor Camarasa. Up front, Zohore, supported either side by Junior Hoylett and by Josh Murphy. Rawls and Niasse joined on the bench by Bobby Reid, Leandro Bacuna and Greg Cunningham, Nathaniel Mendez-Lang and Brian Murphy. So, a couple of changes, but is it enough?
Well, he's been doing this all season, hasn't he, Neil Warnock? And for him, he needs to find a solution. It's probably too late now, in many respects, to find that solution, and he needed to do that a lot earlier on in this season. But whoever comes in again, for me, it's a similar style. Nothing changes for Cardiff. The one thing I said about Cardiff very early on in the season is that they are very open, and they need to make that step from the Championship to the Premier League. You can do it in the Championship and get away with it, win games and pick up points galore. In the Premier League, you can't do that, and I think that's been proven this season with Cardiff. Neil Warnock's gone his own way, and he is his own man, and he will never change. But I don't think this group of players is as bad as perhaps their position suggests.
Well, they started pretty well, didn't they?
Yeah.
And punched above their weight with minimal input. And I don't want to dwell on it because I guess it's irrelevant because unfortunately it's never going to happen. But I still feel the whole Emiliano Sala affair, given his absence as a signing, let alone the psychological backdrop, I think that combination is still important at this stage.
Absolutely. I mean, we can't forget that. And, you know, what a disaster it was for everybody concerned, but especially for the family. But, you know, at the end of the day, these things happen, small things happen, big things happen, and probably rocked them completely and really mentally never really gave them then any chance of getting out of trouble. But you have to be professional, you have to get on with it, you have to get used to playing without a man you thought was going to come in and do a great job, and maybe one that was just absolutely perfect for them. It would have given them a lift, it would have given them a chance. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. So the other players have got to just dig in. Now, whether they can get enough points, 9 points they need out of the last 5 games, I really doubt it. They haven't suggested that in any way, shape or form that they're going to get that.
Yeah, one win in 6.
Why would it change? You know, and you feel for them, but that's the way it's gone.
Yeah, I just felt they lived off vapours for a little while after the Salah affair. A couple of big wins, and then that Friday night defeat to Watford when they were hammered. Just since then, the belief and the momentum seems to have ebbed away for Cardiff City. Plenty more ahead of our game and ahead of all the other 3 p.m. kickoffs UK time in just a couple of minutes. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Go to TalkSport.com and sign up now to play the free TalkSport Predictor game. Predict the results of the English Premier League games this season for the chance to win top-flight weekly prizes. From the Gunners getting away goals at Anfield to epic finishes at the Etihad. Click TalkSport.com/predictor and register now for the chance to go top of the table in the ultimate football fan tournament. The TalkSport English Premier League Predictor game. Available online and for free at TalkSport.com/predictor.
If you're outside the UK and Ireland, we've got you covered. TalkSport's international service covers every Premier League match live. Full commentary, pre- and post-match analysis, and goals as they go in from every single Premier League match.
Alexander-Arnold again to return it. Mo Salah in space, heads it goal. Oh, Lloris has missed it. It's gone in. Off Alderweireld, I think, for the own goal. Liverpool back in front with 30 seconds of the 90 minutes to play. Scenes of jubilation, of celebration, of relief more than anything at Anfield. Somehow they have found a way.
Every game is covered. Get involved in debates. Ask in-game questions to our commentary team and get goal updates with @TalkSport Live on Twitter.
He's knocked up for Brighton, edge of the area, on his left foot. Curling one! Oh, it's a stunner! Anthony Knockout gives Brighton the lead again! In a goal that will be played time and time again. There can't have been too many better hits in this derby over the years. It flies into the top corner, and Matt Ryan flies down the pitch to join in the celebration.
Kick-by-kick commentary, expert opinion, international coverage of the world's most exciting football league.
It's Ward-Prowse! It's in! It's magnificent from James Ward-Prowse. He, like Valeri, has scored for the second game running. It's another magnificent free kick. Hazard into the corner. What a goal from Eden Hazard. That was brilliant from the Belgian.
Chelsea have huffed and puffed, and out of nowhere, an inkling, a tiny gap in the corner, sent a low curling effort beyond Patricio into the left corner of the net. That is brilliant from the little maestro.
Premier League Live, brought to you by TalkSport Live.
The Premier League Preview Show with TalkSport.
Pogba leaves it, Rashford hits it, oh, it's a goal, it's the first goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era.
TalkSport's Premier League experts give their views ahead of the weekend's action.
Cardiff City legend Danny Gavidan joins us on the preview show. He's got some new teeth. The former Millwall captain Matt Lawrence with us on the preview show. Former Liverpool striker Neil Mellor is on the preview show this week.
Subscribe to the podcast today at TalkSport.com.
This is Premier League Live.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Burnley Cardiff from here at Turf Moor. I'm Russell Hargreaves alongside Clive Walker on Premier League Live. Got loads of other big games kicking off at 3 this afternoon at UK time. In addition to ours, Brighton, Bournemouth, Fulham, Everton and Southampton, Wolves. Let's hear from all the managers involved in the other games taking place this afternoon.
biggest one at this moment is Saturday's game against Bournemouth, because it's the next one and it's the best opportunity that we have, the closest opportunity that we have to pick up points. So are they more important than the FA Cup semi-final? Well, yes, they are, because the semi-final was gone.
Yeah, they've done well at home this year. I think they're a very competitive team. Chris has them very well organised. They've got some good technical players. They've got some difference makers in the front line. So, yeah, no, we know from every encounter we've had against Brighton in our Premier League journey, they've been really tough, tight games, and we're going to need to be at our best to get over the line and win.
Of course, we want to win games now. We want to get some results. We want our fans to probably have a little bit of pride in certainly what we do, and at the same time understand that this is probably an important time for this football club, for this team, for the squad to certainly build and look to next year.
In these moments and in some moments, these are the most difficult match to play, and because that I want to again, and we must put again our full focus on the match and full desire to win, and of course try to put our quality also, because if you play good football and quality, you are closer to achieve good results.
It's a very strong opponent, one of the best organized teams in the league, I think. They made a fantastic job this year, beat a lot of big teams also, play a similar shape than we do, and that would be a very interesting game tactically for us, and everything but not an easy game.
Tough challenge, very good team, organized, good players, good manager. Clearly has changed, and tough team, especially at home. Very, very tough game.
So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manuel Pellegrini ahead of our 5:30 kickoff, which is Man United and West Ham, with Tom Remey and Rufus Brevett, Chris Hughton and Eddie Howe, Marco Silva and Scott Parker, Ralph Hasenhüttl and Nuno Espirito Santo, the other managers involved. The other games taking place today. If you missed it earlier, Spurs beating Huddersfield 4-0. So Tottenham back up to third above Chelsea. Hat-trick from Lucas Moura and a goal from Victor Wanyama as well. Now Brighton-Bournemouth, an important game when it comes to their relegation battle as well, particularly for the Seagulls. Watching this one is Joe Rawson.
Big game this for both teams, who are in awful form and looking over their shoulders at the Premier League relegation battle. Chris Hughton makes two changes to the side that lost to Manchester City in their FA Cup semi-final. Glenn Murray and Ali Reza Johan Bakash dropped to the bench. Florin Andoni and Jurgen Locadia come into the 11. Two changes also made by Eddie Howe to the Bournemouth side that lost to Burnley, while the Boruc replaces Asmir Begovic in goal, and Steve Cook, who started his career at Brighton, replaces Nathaniel Klein in the starting 11. At the Amex, it's Brighton versus Bournemouth.
Joe, thank you very much indeed. 16th versus 14th there. What about Fulham versus Everton? One down, the other in decent form for Chris Chappell.
After relegation back to the Championship was confirmed 11 days ago with the 4-1 defeat at Watford, Fulham caretaker manager Scott Parker resists the urge to make wholesale changes as he goes in search of his first point in charge, with Timothy Fosu-Mensah coming in for Cyrus Christie in defence as the only alteration to his starting 11. Everton are predictably unchanged from the 1-0 win over Arsenal last Sunday as they look for a fourth consecutive win, interestingly all against clubs from the capital. That means 36-year-old Phil Jagielka retains the armband in his 320th league appearance for the Toffees.
Good old Phil Jagielka, what a performance against Arsenal on his recall to the team. So that's 19th against 9th in front of Chris Chappell. It's also 17th against 8th. Southampton still in need of points as they take on Wolves. Matt Davies-Adams watching this one.
Southampton start the day 5 points above the relegation zone, so a win here would see them edge closer to safety. Ralph Hasenhüttl makes two changes following the defeat to Liverpool as Danny Ings and Josh Sims replace Shane Long and Oriol Romeu. Wolves are looking to shake off the disappointment of losing the FA Cup semi-final last week. There's just one change to the side that started that match. Rui Patricio comes back in for John Ruddy in goal. They're looking to end a 4-match winless streak away from home.
Matt, thank you very much indeed. So Clive Walker alongside me, looking ahead to Southampton Wolves, Fulham Everton, Brighton Bournemouth and Manchester United West Ham as our next featured game. We'll go with the other 3 o'clock kickoffs. First of all, Clive, what catches your eye and why out of those?
Well, I think it's one of those that you look at the games at this stage of the season. Obviously, having played for Brighton, it's an important game for me. I like to see them stay up. Bournemouth have had their problems.